a man's tall figure emerged, his blood and chi burning, like an ancient barbarian god descending to the world. A man had been hidden, and Xiachan did not intend to use a man's power until the critical moment, because Long Chan said that a man was the strongest trump card of the Dragon Blood Core. Xiachan had used the hidden breath talisman on a man before, hiding him in the Dragon Blood Core, and outsiders could not detect his existence at all. Now that Tang Wanner was fighting Brahma Tienda, no one could stop Yu Changfeng, so a man had to be dispatched. A man had no fluctuations in the heavenly veins, no dragon veins, and his blood and chi were hidden by Xiachen. As a result, a man's move caught Yu Changfeng off guard. Yu Changfeng was knocked into the ground by a man's stick. Fortunately, he had the Zhanghuang battle armor to protect his body. Otherwise the stick might have blown him up alive. Puff! When Yu Changfeng's figure flew out of the ground, a mouthful of blood suddenly spurted out. A man's attack was pure brute force, without fluctuations in the heavenly way and the breath of the law, which greatly reduced the defense of the Zhanghuang battle armor. Buzz! Just as Yu Changfeng flew out, a man had already swung his bone stick, and another stick came. Yu Changfeng hurriedly waved his spear to block, but was knocked away by the stick. In front of a man's power, Yu Changfeng's 13 dragon veins were not enough, and he was knocked away by the stick. Sister Wanner, a man is here to help you. A man saw Tang Wanner being repelled by Brahma Tienda, and shouted, took a step forward, rushed into the void, and hit Brahma Tienda with a stick. Get out of here, you brainless barbarian. Brahma Tienda had just fought with Tang Wanner and repelled her. But a man came again, and he swung his long sword with divine light to tear the sky apart. Ah man, be careful. Tang Wanner was shocked, but it was too late. Bang! With a loud bang, a man's bone stick was actually cut into pieces by Brahma Tienda's long sword. But Brahma Tienda was not feeling well either. A man's violent power shocked him so much that his blood surged and he almost vomited blood. Fan Tienda had never seen such a terrifying flesh and blood power in his life. Even his divine power showed signs of being suppressed. He was filled with shock and anger. He shouted angrily and slashed at a man with a sword. Buzz! However, at this moment, the void exploded, and a huge mouth opened and rushed towards a man to bite. It was the big mouth of a giant crocodile. The violent blood and chi burned the sky. Even Fan Tienda was frightened by the breath of the giant crocodile. He had never seen such a fierce beast. Yellow spring blood crocodile. When Fan Tienda saw the colorful scales around the crocodile, he exclaimed and recognized the origin of the crocodile. It was the famous and peerless beast of the Chaos era, the yellow spring blood crocodile. This barbarian has a strong blood. Just feeding my yellow spring blood crocodile. At this moment, Li Chongging's arrogant voice came. Boom! The huge mouth of the yellow spring blood crocodile swallowed the sky and covered a man's body in an instant. However, just as it was about to close, a man roared, turned into a giant of thousands of miles, and punched the yellow spring blood crocodile on the head. The yellow spring blood crocodile took a man's punch and shook its head. His huge tail hit a man's waist hard. With a loud bang, a man staggered. Li Chongging was shocked when he saw this scene. How terrifying was the strength of the yellow spring blood crocodile. He originally thought that a man would be blown up by a single blow, but in the end he just staggered. Even his skin was not broken. This body was too amazing. However, the more amazing a man's body was, the happier Li Chongging was. If the yellow spring blood crocodile could devour him, he would definitely recover faster. Boom! Suddenly, the yellow spring blood crocodile shook its head strangely and bit a man's arm. Its sharp teeth immediately tore a man's flesh and blood flowed out. Aman! When everyone saw that Aman was injured, they came to rescue from all directions. Tang Wanner was blocked by Fan Tienda. The most fatal thing was that Yu Changfeng also came to kill her. The trapped fat woman also broke free from her restraints and came to kill her. Wuxin Fengyue, blood-stained crescent moon. Tang Wanner gritted her teeth. Divine light flowed in her eyes, divine power burned, and a blood-colored crescent moon appeared behind her. When the blood moon appeared, the world was silent for a moment. Bang! With a loud bang, Fan Tienda was chopped away by Tang Wanner's sword, and the man and the sword merged into one, rushing forward. Seeing Tang Wanner fighting desperately, Yu Chongfeng and the fat woman were also startled and hurriedly made way. They knew that Tang Wanner had used secret methods at this time. If they fought hard with her, they would definitely suffer a great loss. The magical power of the wind god? Let me, Li Chongqing, learn from it. The void trembled. Li Chongqing held the white bone long sword. The void behind him trembled. The gate of hell slowly opened. The 9 springs flowed, and in the roar of thousands of ways, the world seemed to be overturned. Facing Tang Wanner, who was burning with divine power, he also summoned a vision. 13 dragon veins were flying, and a sword fell on Tang Wanner. Boom! The 2 divine weapons slashed together, and the divine light pierced the void, forming large holes. The earth kept collapsing, and the thousands of lights kept roaring. Everyone present felt dizzy and almost fell down. This was a peerless collision. Tang Wanner and Li Chongqing retreated several steps at the same time. An unhealthy blush appeared on Tang Wanner's pretty face. She was injured. Tang Wanner didn't expect that Li Chongqing was so terrifying. It turned out that he was the most terrifying existence among this group of people. Squeak! However, at this moment, a strange cry came from behind Li Chongqing. Everyone looked for the sound, but saw a man biting the big mouth of the yellow spring blood crocodile, and pulled it hard, and actually tore off a piece of meat. The strange cry was made by the yellow spring blood crocodile. It turned out that a man was bitten on the arm by the yellow spring blood crocodile and could not break free. In a hurry, he also bit off the flesh and blood, swallowed it in one gulp, and then lowered his head to bite again. Swish! This time, the yellow spring blood crocodile even bit off a piece of bone. No one expected that a man's teeth were sharper than the yellow spring blood crocodile's teeth. The yellow spring blood crocodile felt the pain and let go of a man and ran away, but a man grabbed its tail and bit it hard again. The yellow spring blood crocodile struggled frantically and finally got rid of a man's claws. After pulling away, it suddenly opened its mouth. Buzz! It spit out a colorful giant net. A man was unable to dodge and was instantly covered. The giant net became tighter and tighter. A man was instantly unable to move and screamed anxiously. Tang Wanner took a deep breath and slowly raised her long sword. Just as she was about to make a move, a voice suddenly came. "Is it fun to bully my brother Long Chen?" The voice was not loud, but it spread to every corner of the world and reached the depths of people's souls. The voice was very cold, so cold that it seemed to pierce through a person's soul, making one's soul tremble. "Boss!" When the strong men on the Dragon Blood Legion heard the voice, they cheered loudly. Only then did people realize that the dragon scale world had disappeared at some point. Ha! A figure appeared on the head of the yellow spring blood crocodile. The yellow spring blood crocodile was devouring the silk net, preparing to swallow a man into its stomach, but at this moment, its whole body trembled, and it dared not move at all. Long Chen. When they saw Long Chen's figure, Li Chongqing, Brahma Tienda, Minglong Tianfeng, Yu Chongfeng and others all had their pupils shrink suddenly. He was dressed in black and had long hair draped over his shoulders. A huge dragon bone evil moon rested on his shoulders. His handsome face was filled with cold murderous intent. Long Chen appeared. At that moment, the whole place was in dead silence. He stood on the head of the yellow spring blood crocodile. The terrifying yellow spring blood crocodile was now stiff and dared not move. Its body was shaking constantly, as if it was in endless fear. "You dare to humiliate my brother. I am very angry." Long Chen's face was grim. The dragon bone evil moon in his hand slowly moved downwards, with the tip of the knife aimed at the head of the yellow spring blood crocodile. Buzz! Suddenly, Li Chongqing's figure flashed. and he pounced on Long Chun like a flash of lightning. Buzz! Long Chun stretched out his left hand, and runes flowed on his big hand. A huge Ur character appeared. With a loud bang, Li Chongging was bounced away by the divine rune. At this time, the yellow spring blood crocodile's body trembled violently. It wanted to struggle, but its body seemed to have lost control. Puff! The light of the dragon bone evil moon in Long Chen's hand surged, and the huge knife shadow instantly pierced the head of the yellow spring blood crocodile. The yellow spring blood crocodile's body suddenly stiffened and died instantly. With the death of the yellow spring blood crocodile, the silk net wrapped around a man lost its energy support and was immediately torn apart by a man. When a man saw Long Chun, he shouted excitedly and ran to Long Chun like an excited child. Good brother, Brother Long is sorry for not protecting you well. You take this snack back first and see Brother Long avenge you. Long Chun comforted a man and handed the body of the yellow spring blood crocodile to a man. A man excitedly picked up the yellow spring blood crocodile. You know, this is the most delicious snack he has ever eaten in his life. The yellow spring blood crocodile has amazing energy and is what he needs most. Ha! Bai Shaola also used the power of space to take a man back. At this time, Long Chun was surrounded by countless strong men, and the place outside the 10,000 dragon nest was a little bit outside, where it was not easy to be involved in the terrifying battle vortex. Long Chun, you are indeed very strong, but it is impossible to defeat so many of us, especially since you have to protect your men. I have a suggestion for you. Hand over the royal blood crystal in your hand, and I can help you kill this opponent, and then withdraw from the battle. How about that? The fat woman narrowed her eyes and looked at Long Chun. While the fat woman was speaking, Long Chun opened his hands, and the power of thunder flew, and the endless corpses on the ground disappeared instantly. When he finished doing this, the fat woman also finished her words, and when the fat woman said, "this opponent," she looked at Yu Chongfeng, who was not far away. Yu Chongfeng was shocked and angry. The soul-devouring spear in his hand was shining. He had seen bullies, but he had never seen such a bully. He was actually used as a bargaining chip. This was a huge shame. Just as Yu Chongfeng was about to attack the fat woman, Long Chun spoke. This guy is just a small fish here. His life and death are in my hands. He can't be used as a bargaining chip. Yu Chongfeng was furious. His lungs were about to explode. He is also a strong man at the level of 13 dragon veins. In the distance, there was a woman wearing golden armor. When she saw Long Chen appear, she couldn't hold back her tears. It's over, it's all over. Why is he so stupid? Lu Qingxuang clenched her jade hands. Her nails pierced deeply into her palms. Her heart was full of regret, helplessness, and endless self-blame. If she was strong enough, if she was wise enough, if she didn't give the yellow armor to Yu Chongfeng at the beginning, but kept it for herself, maybe the person who advanced to the 13 dragon veins would be her. Then all fates would be rewritten. However, there are not so many ifs in this world. Seeing Long Chen's murderous eyes, she seemed to have seen the ending. Also on the periphery, among the 4 major gods, Zhang Yue and Feng Fei saw Long Chen's appearance. Zhang Yue said, "Maybe we should have taken action just now, so that we can pick up another favor." Feng Fei shook her head and said, "It is easy to add icing on the cake, but it is difficult to send charcoal in the snow. I believe that the dragon blood core has not reached the point of exhaustion, and we don't need to take action. If we take action too early, the intention will be too obvious, and Long Chun will look down on us. When getting along with Long Chun, we can only exchange sincerity for sincerity, and there can be no falsehood." Long Tianrue, who is also in the God Clan camp, has been watching the excitement quietly. When Long Chun appeared, her beautiful eyes flashed and were full of expectations. She always had an almost blind confidence in Long Chun. Among the 4 major gods, only Long Zhe participated in this war, but he could only represent himself, not the entire Long family. After all, Long Chun is also a member of the Long family. Although Long Ziyi also has many followers, they are not fools. How can they blindly stand in line in such internal disputes? Once they stand in the wrong line, they will be doomed. Moreover, Long Zai and Long Chun are personal grudges, and it is not convenient for others to participate. So Long Zai's followers are very happy to be a spectator. Although Long Chun has returned, I don't know what secret method he used to kill the terrifying Huangquan blood crocodile, but the opponent is too strong. I guess in the end both sides will suffer losses and go their separate ways. Zhang Yue analyzed De Shu. Seeing Feng Fei's expression of disbelief, Zhang Yue said, "Why? You don't agree with my analysis? What did you analyze?" Feng Fei asked. Long Chun killed Li Chongging's yellow spring blood crocodile as soon as he made a move, which shows that he knows that the combination of Li Chongging and the yellow spring blood crocodile is very terrifying and poses the greatest threat to him. This also indirectly shows that Long Chun is not absolutely sure. Look, his opponents include Brahma Tianda, Li Chongging, Minglong Tianfeng, Long Zai, the Fat Man, and Yu Chongfeng. Wow, 6 super monsters. Although the Dragon Blood Legion seems to still have the strength to fight, these 6 super monsters still have hundreds of millions of followers around them. Not to mention, even the Siren clan, which has slaughtered so many strong people, still has tens of millions of elites. If they all rush forward, Long Chun will definitely not be able to handle it. So, I think in the end everyone doesn't want to bear so much loss and finally go their separate ways. Is there a problem? Hey, what's that look in your eyes? Seeing Feng Fei rolling her eyes, Zhang Yue said with some dissatisfaction. Feng Fei shook her head and said, "Sister, you are my real sister. Your talent lies in cultivation. Don't bother to guess about this kind of thing. You are not right at all." "Why?" Zhang Yue said unconvinced. Feng Fei said seriously, "Long Chun has never been a person who can weigh the pros and cons. His brother was insulted and his beauty was hurt. If he can let these people go, my name Feng Fei will be written backwards from now on." "Really?" Zhang Yue looked incredulous. "Look, Long Chun has made a move," Feng Fei hurriedly said. At this time, Long Chun, who was surrounded by the enemies, slowly spread out his left hand, separated his thumb and middle finger, and then 2 flames appeared on the 2 fingers. When the 2 flames appeared, the scorching heat instantly covered the entire battlefield. That is, when Zhang Yue saw the 2 flames in Long Chen's hand, she couldn't help but cover her cherry lips with her jade hand. The flame was very small and looked like a candle flame, but its breath changed the color of the whole world. 2 small flames were located on Long Chen's middle finger and thumb respectively. With their appearance, the world became bright and dark, and night and day kept switching, as if time and space were reversed. "That flame is..." Zhang Yue couldn't believe her eyes. Feng Fei couldn't help but gasp when she saw the 2 flames. 2 flames emerged, and all things changed. In the hazy sky, people seemed to see the scene of the sun and the moon shining together, and everyone was awed. However, although the 2 flames were shocking, the strong men of the major forces were not too frightened. They just slowly approached their leaders. They believed that no matter how strong Long Chun was, he would not be able to make any waves when he was besieged by so many people. Boss's new trick. Bai Xiaola looked at the 2 flames on Long Chen's fingers, his eyes full of excitement. The Dragon Blood warriors took advantage of this short rest to start recovering quickly, and their faces were also full of expectations. Brahmada spoke up, "Long Chun, stop being so mysterious. It's just the fire of the moon and the fire of the sun. This little flame power is not enough in front of us. If you know what's good for you, hand over the blood crystal of the Emperor, and I can guarantee your survival. How about we write off the previous grudges?" Long Chun slowly turned his head to look at Brahmada. Looking at the endless human race strongmen behind him, a hint of sarcasm appeared on the corner of his mouth. "I still don't understand. Why do we kill each other as human race? As human race, can we go along with our enemies for the sake of interests? Is it true that there are no eternal enemies in this world, only eternal interests?" Long Chen's voice was cold, and it sounded so harsh to the ears of the human race strongmen, because there were countless other forces in the center of the battlefield. Among them were the demons, the blood race, the evil spirits, and the monsters. But when they besieged the Dragon Blood Legion, they did not interfere with each other, which was equivalent to forming a temporary alliance. These races have been slaughtering the human race for countless years, and the human race actually fought side by side with them. The most hateful thing is that the one he wanted to kill while fighting side by side turned out to be his own people. What a irony! Stop talking nonsense. Lord Tienda is the master of the human race. Only he can lead the human race to glory. The royal blood crystal is in your hands, but it is a waste of money. Hurry up and hand over the treasure, otherwise, you and your men will not be able to walk out of the heavenly vein profound realm alive. Behind Brahma Tienda, a man in gorgeous clothes shouted loudly. He was not from Brahma Pill Valley, and it was unknown which sect he was from. Behind Brahma Tienda there were countless strong men of the human race. Just looking at the clothes, there were tens of thousands of sections. Obviously, these sects were coerced or lured by Brahma Tienda and were recruited by him. They followed Brahma Tienda's lead and had no right or wrong in their hearts. Whatever Brahma Tienda wanted them to do, they would rush to do it. They made a lot of efforts in the siege of the Dragon Blood Legion before, but even with countless casualties, the lineup was still strong. You really helped the dog eat shit. Long Chun curled his lips. You! The man was furious. He was a powerful warrior with 9 meridians combined into one, but despite his fury, he did not dare to stand up. Not to mention that he did not have the courage to fight Long Chun alone. Even when he was talking, he stood carefully behind Fan Tienda, fearing that Long Chun would suddenly attack him and take his life. Fan Tienda had lost his patience and shouted coldly, Long Chun, stop talking nonsense. You have no choice. You know the methods of my Brahma Pill Valley. If you offend me, not only will you die, but all those who are involved with you will die, and they will die miserably. Long Chun laughed. You are so stupid. I can't believe that Brahma would recognize you as his son. OM. Suddenly, the 2 flames in Long Chen's hands changed, and figures smaller than sesame appeared. They were small golden crows and jade rabbits. When the golden turtle merged into the fire of the sun and the jade rabbit merged into the fire of the moon, above the 9 heavens, above everyone's head, a sun and a moon appeared at the same time, darkness and light intertwined, sunlight and moonlight merged. The world was black and white, and all the laws were disordered. In Long Chen's chaotic space, golden crows broke out of their shells, and after accumulating enough energy, they finally completed nirvana at this time. The jade rabbits were also growing rapidly under the nourishment of the moon wood, although their strength was much worse than that of the golden crows. But their number was amazing, almost endless. When they all poured into their respective flames, the 2 small flames bloomed with a power that frightened the world. Who is weaker or stronger, the yin or the sun? A single yin cannot produce life. A single yang cannot grow. Long Chun chanted loudly. As he spoke, countless runes flowed from Long Chen's arms into the 2 flames. The 2 flames spun rapidly, forming 2 whirlpools of flames, one positive and one negative. The 2 whirlpools of flames were like 2 small universes. Long Chen's middle finger and thumb were together, and the 2 whirlpools of flames overlapped. At that moment, the scorching heat disappeared instantly, and the violent fluctuations between heaven and earth also disappeared. The whole world was only deadly silent. When yin and yang are in harmony, all things return to their course. Snap! As Long Chun recited the last 2 sentences, his 2 fingers suddenly separated and snapped his fingers. At the moment when the crisp snap sounded, a transparent Tai Chi diagram emerged with Long Chen's palm as the core. The eyes of the yin and yang fish in the Tai Chi diagram were the power of the yin and the power of the sun, respectively. Boom! The Tai Chi diagram spread rapidly, and the yin and yang fires merged, repelling each other and blending with each other. When it broke free from Long Chen's restraint, the violent power was instantly unbalanced, as if the universe collapsed, and the violent power swept the heavens in an instant. All this came too suddenly. Long Chun did not summon the vision or the dragon vein. Who would have thought that Long Chun was so insidious and silently held back such a killing move? By the time everyone reacted, it was too late. Brahmada, Minglong Tianfeng, the fat woman, Yu Changfeng and others only had time to turn on the body protection divine light to protect themselves. Boom! The fire of the sun and the fire of the moon raged, instantly engulfing the space of millions of miles in radius, and everyone in the core battlefield was covered. However, this attack had a precise boundary. The strong men who were watching the excitement on the periphery were only a few miles away from the flames. They felt the scorching heat but were not hurt at all. Jiang Yue, Feng Fei and others were all shocked. If the range of this attack was a little larger, the four major gods would be wrapped in it. The spectators all felt their scalps tingling. At that moment, they seemed to see their dead relatives waving at them. Whoosh! The violent flame power erupted in an instant and disappeared in an instant, came quickly and went away quickly, leaving no time for people to react. However, when the flames dissipated, the core of the battlefield, which originally had endless figures, now only had a dozen or so sparse figures. This attack made even the dragon blood warriors open their mouths in shock. In the blink of an eye, millions of strong men were wiped out. These were all elite strong men who participated in the siege of the dragon blood core. The worst of them had condensed 7 natal dragon veins. Otherwise, they would not be qualified to enter the battlefield. Among the millions of strong men, the 9 veins heavenly saints accounted for a small half, and there were also some terrifying 9 veins combined level 1 strong men, but they were all killed. One after another, so many terrifying strong men disappeared in an instant. Even strong men of the same level as Jiang Yue and Feng Fei did not dare to believe their eyes, thinking that it was an illusion, a trick, and a hallucination. However, while millions of strong men disappeared, there were several more strong men who had condensed 13 dragon veins behind them. It turned out that these strong men had been hiding in the crowd and had not appeared. Now that everyone was killed, they had nowhere to hide and were forced out by Long Chun. Together with Brahmatienda, Li Chongging and 6 others, there were a total of 13 top strong men on the field. This move could not have been comprehended in an instant. You should have known it a long time ago. Why didn't you use it? At this time, the voice of the Chaos Dragon Emperor sounded in Long Chen's mind. Even it was shocked by Long Chen's attack. The fusion of 2 opposite forces and then detonation, the terrifying impact force was too amazing. This kind of fusion is simply a fantasy. If you want to succeed, you must go through countless experiments. However, it has never seen Long Chun take any action, so it raised questions. How dare I use it? That guy has been staring at me. I make a move and he learns a move, but I can't learn any of his moves. It's too cunning. Long Chun responded. Are you sure he is not spying on you now? Chaos Dragon Emperor said. When I comprehended the 3,000 original divine runes, the first thing I thought of was to fuse the pupil technique and use the Eye of Purgatory to spy on him in reverse, and I succeeded. But I found that sometimes he is not at his home. When he is not at home, he can't spy on me, and of course I can't see him. I used him this time because I saw him at home, so I made the previous deployment. Long Chun said with a chuckle. You are really insidious. Chaos Dragon Emperor smiled bitterly. I am insidious? That guy is not much better. Facing such a powerful opponent like Zhu Yin, why didn't he drain his opponent bit by bit, step by step, but seized a weakness and killed Zhu Yin directly? It's because it's worried that you, Chen Qunding and Xia Yu would remember his moves and finally tell me about them, fearing that I would learn them secretly. This guy has been deliberately trying to suppress me. I can't continue to be stupid, otherwise I will be suppressed by him accidentally, and I will be really finished. I have secretly watched with the Eye of Purgatory. After being hit by the Zhu Yin blood curse, this guy has left home. I guess he went to find a place to heal his wounds. He can't see any moves I perform now. Long Chun chuckled. Puff! It only took a blink of an eye to communicate with the Chaos Dragon Emperor with divine thoughts. The sound of vomiting blood pulled Long Chun back to reality. Looking for the sound, he saw the extremely embarrassed Yu Changfeng. At this time, Yu Changfeng was covered in blood, and the pale yellow armor no longer shone with divine light, but became dim. Many parts of his body were burnt, and his hair was even singed. Obviously, the power of this attack was too much for the Zhanghuang armor to withstand, causing him to be injured. He had previously fought fiercely with Li Qi and Song Mingyuan, which consumed a lot of energy, and Li Qi's crystal axe slashed on him several times, but was blocked by the Zhanghuang armor. If it weren't for the Zhanghuang armor protecting him, even if he was a 13 veins heavenly saint, he would still be tortured to death by the two. Now that the Zhanghuang armor has reached its limit, Brahmatienda, Li Chongying and others are all safe and sound. Obviously, their strength is far greater than Yu Changfeng. Although Long Chen's attack was terrifying, its range was too huge and its power was too dispersed, which was not enough to cause fatal injuries to a strong man of this level. Ha! Suddenly, Long Chen moved, and Yu Changfeng, who had just vomited blood, was shocked. He thrust forward with the spear in his hand, and retreated rapidly. What everyone did not expect was that Yu Changfeng's attack directly pierced Long Chen's chest, but Long Chen's big hand also grabbed Yu Changfeng's throat. But when everyone looked carefully, Yu Changfeng's spear just passed through Long Chen's body and did not pierce, as if everything they saw just now was an illusion. Pa! Long Chen's big hand grabbed Yu Changfeng's throat, and Yu Changfeng's body trembled, and he was unable to move, like a chicken being pinched in Long Chen's hand. Long Chen looked at Yu Changfeng with a gloomy face. You are hopelessly stupid. Without my help, you would not have gotten your Zhanghuang armor. Without the Zhanghuang armor, you would not have been able to condense the 13 heavenly veins of dragon qi. After becoming stronger, you took the lead in dealing with my brothers. I, Long Chen, have seen countless people, but I have not seen many people like you who repay kindness with enmity. Yu Changfeng was horrified at this time, no longer arrogant as before. He wanted to struggle, but his body was no longer obedient. He turned his head to look at Fan Tienda and others. He felt that Fan Tienda and others should come to save him. After all, if he died, everyone would lose a fighting force. But what made him desperate was that none of these people showed any signs of taking action. They just watched quietly with a cold look on their faces. Long Chen. A woman's cry came from a distance. It was Lu Qingxuang. She wanted to beg for mercy, but when the words came to her lips, she couldn't speak after all. It's useless. If he only targeted me, there would be room for maneuver, but as long as he attacked my brothers, even if the Emperor of Heaven came to plead for mercy, it would be useless. Long Chen said coldly. Puff! A loud bang, Yu Changfeng's head exploded, and was killed by Long Chen in one blow. Yu Changfeng was too stupid. Among the many 13 veins heavenly saints, he was the weakest one. Others regarded him as a jumping clown, but they didn't know it. Now not only did he die on the spot, but also caused the death of tens of millions of golden-armored knights. Can be said that his death was completely his own fault. Ha! Long Chen waved his hand, and a long spear and a dim battle armor turned into a stream of light and flew towards Lu Qingxuang, and was caught by Lu Qingxuang. No matter what, we have fought side by side before, and the things are returned to you. As for the survival of Shengming Shenzong, it is in your hands. Long Chen said. Long Chen's meaning is very simple. He gives you the things, but he doesn't care about them. As for the life and death of Shengming Shenzong, it depends on Lu Qingxuang. Long Chen killed so many golden knights, Shengming sect would definitely not give up. If they dared to deal with Long Chen would dare to make Shengming sect disappear from this world. But if Lu Qingxuang obtained these two treasures and recognized them as the master, becoming the new leader, then the fate of Shengming sect would be in her hands. Whether they would be enemies or friends would depend on her. Lu Qingxuang held the yellow armor and spear, and thought of so many people dying. She couldn't help crying and left this sad place with tens of thousands of golden knights. Pa pa pa. At this moment, a round of applause came, and Li Chongying came out and said lightly, "This move of separating the figures is really wonderful, but it still can't change the cruel ending of your defeat. At this time, other strong men also scattered and surrounded Long Chun in the core, and the fierce murderous aura swallowed the world. Long Chun struck and killed all of their clansmen. They hated Long Chun so much that they wanted to kill him regardless of whether it was for the imperial blood crystal. Otherwise, even with their status and position, they would not be able to give an explanation to their clansmen after they returned. 12 terrifying strong men surrounded Long Chun and aimed their magic weapons at him. Their fierce killing intent made the world silent. However, Long Chun, who was surrounded, still had a calm face and indifferent eyes, without a trace of nervousness. He didn't look like he was fighting with anyone, but chatting with a group of people. Can't change the ending? You took away most of the essence and blood of the yellow spring blood crocodile, which led to its easy death. Facing Li Chongging's sneer, Long Chun said indifferently. Long Chun knew that the yellow spring blood crocodile was very terrifying. In order to kill it with one strike, he teleported to the top of its head and concentrated all the dragon blood power under his feet to suppress its blood. However, what Long Chun didn't expect was that the yellow spring blood crocodile's blood and chi were weak, and under his suppression, it couldn't resist at all. After repeated investigations, Long Chun finally understood that the yellow spring blood crocodile had lost most of its blood essence. It must have been sucked away by Li Chongging. It used the power of the yellow spring blood crocodile to improve itself. It's just a pet mount. It dies. That's its fate and the ending it deserves. And you, perhaps, are even more miserable than it. You killed so many people. I'm afraid you won't even have a complete corpse left in a while. Besides, you have so many brothers, Li Chongging said with a slight smile. He had no skin, and his face was squeezed out by flesh and blood. The smile looked very scary. Buzz! As Li Chongging's voice fell, a figure suddenly turned into a ball of black mist among the strong men surrounding Long Chun, and the person disappeared instantly. Use a clone to confuse me? It seems to be meaningless. The figure disappeared, and Long Chun was not surprised at all, but revealed a hint of sarcasm. Buzz! At this moment, that figure appeared above the Dragon Blood army. It was a demon warrior with 6 arms. 6 groups of magic light appeared on the 6 palms, shining like 6 suns. Long Chun, you destroyed my demons. I will kill your men. Let you also experience that taste. The demon warrior roared, and the 13 dragon veins around him melted instantly and poured into the 6 groups of magic light. His move seemed to be similar to Long Chen's attack. Before the move was launched, people had already felt the power of destroying the world. Dragon Blood Cross Slash. However, before his attack was launched, Guoran roared, and the Dragon Blood warriors glowed all over, and countless dragon veins rushed towards Guoran like a tide. Puff! The demon warrior's terrifying attack was still accumulating power, and the Dragon Blood Cross Slash had already hit him. With a bang, the demon warrior turned into nothingness. Boom, boom, boom. 6 explosions sounded in succession, and the 6 magic lights he condensed exploded with a bang, as gorgeous as fireworks. The divine light enveloped the entire battlefield. It was the last trace left by a 13 veins heavenly saint in this world. Still imitating my moves? I am accumulating power in secret, while you are arrogantly accumulating power in front of others. However, I have to say that this fireworks is not bad. Long Chun said at the end with a look of certainty. A powerful 13 veins heavenly saint was unscathed in the explosion of Long Chen's yin and yang divine flame, which shows how terrifying his strength is. However, such a terrifying existence was killed by the Dragon Blood Legion in one move. Idiot, you don't even have a battle armor, and you dare to be so arrogant? Do you think you are Brahma Tienda? Guoran shouted arrogantly. When Brahma Tienda heard this, his face was burning. This didn't seem like a compliment, but seemed to be mocking him that if he didn't have a battle armor, he would have been killed. Guoran's attack was a sure kill attack. The demon clan's tricks could fool many people, but not Long Chun. However, Long Chun did not remind Guoran and others, because Long Chun knew that by Shaola, who had 3 flower pupils, could see through everything. He told Guoran everything, and the dragon blood warriors were already ready. This time, Guoran directly used half of the dragon blood warriors' power. According to Guoran's idea, even if the demon clan warrior had a divine armor to protect his body, he could not withstand such a blow. His magic would explode and he would also be killed. However, after the attack, Guoran found that this guy was naked and had nothing. If he had known, he would not have drawn so much power. It was too wasteful. Brothers, enter the 10,000 dragons nest, find a comfortable position, and watch the boss's performance. After Guoran's attack, he waved his hand, and the 10,000 dragons nest was agitated. Everyone entered the 10,000 dragons nest. Brother Guoran, you are not waiting for someone to attack on purpose, Bai Shaola suddenly asked when he saw this. Hee, what do you think? Guoran smiled sinisterly. Everyone then understood that Guoran was fishing here, waiting for someone to sneak attack the dragon blood core, and then unexpectedly give the opponent a fatal blow. My sword is broken. If I don't kill a decent opponent, where is my reputation? Guoran said with some annoyance. Buzz. Dragon blood warriors, hidden dragon warriors, dragon clan strongmen, Fengshen Hage disciples, and the strongmen of the North and South Alliance were all taken into the 10,000 dragons nest. When everyone entered the 10,000 dragons nest, the size of the 10,000 dragons nest kept shrinking, and finally shrank to only 10,000 miles in radius. After the 10,000 dragons nest was shrunk, endless giant dragon runes flowed around it, wrapping it heavily. Guoran directly increased the defense of the 10,000 dragons nest to the extreme. On the one hand, in this state, the 10,000 dragons nest is not afraid of any sneak attacks. Second, watching the battle at close range, it is not afraid of the terrifying impact, let alone being injured by mistake. In this way, Long Chun has no worries and can fight with all his strength. The most important thing is that, in the absolute defense state, the dragon blood warriors will get the fastest recovery. Although the consumption is staggering, the money has been spent on the blade, so there is no need to feel too bad. At this time, Guoran and others passed the 10,000 dragons nest and looked at the situation outside. They were all excited. Next was the boss's stage. When Long Chun came out of the dragon scale world, they had 13 top-level masters, a terrifying beast and endless subordinates. Now, the Yellow Springs blood crocodile has become Ah-Man's snack, and it is unknown whether it has been eaten up. Yu Changfeng was directly crushed to death by Long Chun, and a demon master was killed by the Dragon Blood Legion just now. Among the 13 masters, only 11 are left. Long Chun, are you really not going to consider my suggestion? At this time, the fat woman spoke. Even at this time, the fat woman was still calm and her tone did not change at all, as if everything was under her control. If it was someone else's proposal, I might consider it, but your proposal? I won't consider it. Long Chun shook his head. Why? The fat woman narrowed her eyes. Her eyes were originally small, and now they are almost invisible. Because... Suddenly, Long Chun's calm face became fierce. His sword-like eyebrows stood up, veins popped on his forehead, and his roar was like a thunder. You hurt the woman I love. Boom! As Long Chun roared, the vast blood and energy rushed into the sky, piercing through the sky, and the sound of dragon roars resounded throughout the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Purple dragon battle body, open. As Long Chun shouted, people seemed to see a purple sun, with thousands of divine lights piercing the sky. Boom! The violent purple waves washed over the world. At that moment, the sky was cracking and the earth was sinking. Fan Tianda, Li Chongying and others were pushed back by the terrifying air wave and could not keep their bodies steady. The earth has cracked again, someone exclaimed. Before, the white-clothed Long Chun split the earth in half with a knife, and then the Tianmai Shenjing repaired itself and it returned to its original appearance. Now, under the terrifying breath of Long Chun, it seems that the old injury has recurred and started to tear again. Boom! The huge waves rolled, the divine sound rumbled, and the sacred dragon blood power filled the entire world and covered the eternal fairy dome. In front of this breath, everyone was as small as an ant. At this time, the 9 veins merged into one, and the 13 dragon veins were not enough to look at. They only had the qualifications of crawling on the ground and looking up. Long Chen's breath was still surging wildly, and his murderous intent was rising like a volcano. At this moment, he was like an enraged demon in hell, and his breath was accompanied by an endless will of destruction. Long Chen. When Tang Wanner saw Long Chen's furious look, her nose was sour. No matter how powerful she was, Long Chen protected her as if she were his life, and Long Chen's feelings for her had never changed. At this moment, Tang Wanner's jade hand felt warm. It was Bai Shirshir who grabbed her hand. The two smiled at each other. At that moment, they felt a spiritual connection for the first time. Being protected by such a man, life and death seemed to have become unimportant. Is he crazy? In the distant Protoss camp, Jiang Yue stretched out the dragon vein against the hurricane, and her face was in pain, like a knife cut. The most terrifying thing was that the murderous intent contained in this breath made her soul tremble, and she felt that her will was about to collapse. Long Chen is like this. When his beloved woman is injured, he will go crazy. Feng Fei resisted the hurricane and said with difficulty, "It's just a little skin injury." Jiang Yue screamed. In Long Chen's eyes, his confidants and brothers are more important than his life. If anyone hurts them, he will make them pay a heavy price. Feng Fei said breathlessly. This breath has already made her very uncomfortable. The other powerful people of the God Clan have already retreated far away. They simply cannot bear this terrifying impact. Damn. If there is such a man who loves me, I would be willing to die for him. Jiang Yue gritted her teeth and said, "Boom." At this moment, a more violent air wave hit, and the laws of heaven and earth seemed to break at this moment. Jiang Yue and Feng Fei were blown away at the same time. After the huge waves raged, the world gradually returned to its original appearance, and people's vision was restored. When they saw the scene in front of them again, they all looked unbelievable. The earth was completely torn apart, the crust was completely deformed, and lava was gushing out of the cracks, as if blood was flowing, and the vitality between heaven and earth was rapidly dissipating. Looking at the lifeless world, people seemed to be transported to hell, feeling that their lives were slowly withering away. That feeling was despairing. The power of the heavenly vain profound realm is fading. This world is going to collapse. Someone shouted in fear. It's not time to teleport yet. Are we going to perish along with this world? Someone's voice trembled. The faces of the strong men on the periphery were full of fear. Are they going to die here? What are you afraid of? Long Chen and the others are here too. What regrets would there be if you could die with such a peerless strongman? Someone sneered. That's right. It's worth dying to be able to enjoy a battle that will amaze the ages before you die. Seeing that those strong men were still surrounding Long Chen in the center of the battlefield, and the battle was still going on, some fanatics took life and death lightly. Boss! A thunderous cheer erupted in the 10,000 Dragons' nest. Everyone's eyes were full of fanaticism and admiration. They were completely amazed by Long Chen in front of them. At this time, Long Chen's whole body was wrapped in purple divine light. Unlike the previous dragon blood battle body, Long Chen did not have dragon armor on his body. The purple divine light formed a purple gauze dress. As it fluttered in the wind, you could faintly see purple dragon scales appearing and disappearing from time to time. Behind Long Chen, 13 purple dragons formed a pattern of dragons arching a pearl. The 13 purple dragons, with their heads inside and their tails facing outside, were surrounding a purple pearl. The bead was like a purple sun. Its light was not blazing, but rather very soft. One could faintly see a purple tide rising inside, as if it were a world. With the blessing of the purple divine light, Long Chen's aura seemed so noble and holy. With his purple clothes floating and his long hair dancing, he looked like an emperor on earth, extremely respected. Oh my god! It's killing me. In the Protoss camp, Jiang Yue couldn't help but cover her lips when she saw Long Chun in this state. No wonder Feng Fei was in love with this guy. She had warned her to get along well with Long Chun, but not to get too close. Now she finally understood why Feng Fei said this. A wife-protecting demon, with such terrifying strength, looked even more handsome under the blessing of the noble purple divine light. Who the hell could stand this? Long Chen's whole body was shrouded in the purple divine light, but his eyes were cold. He was aware of the bloody battle outside. When Tang Wan'er and Aman were injured, he had been suppressing his anger. Now he can finally release it without restraint. Now is the moment of final reckoning. Seeing Long Chen's fierce eyes, the fat woman couldn't help but take a step back. At this moment, she could no longer maintain her previous composure. Long Chen's monstrous killing intent made her feel terrified. Who? Dragonbone Evil Moon appeared in Long Chen's hand, and the purple divine light flowed and slowly poured into the blade. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The purple breath poured into the black blade, forming a strange purple-black luster. The sharp and bloodthirsty breath was rising. Countless dragon patterns around Dragonbone Evil Moon slowly lit up, as if a sleeping demon was being awakened. Who? Suddenly Long Chen slashed with a knife, but what everyone didn't expect was that Long Chen's knife didn't slash at anyone, but slashed at the void. Puff! The sky was torn apart by Long Chen's knife, and the sky curtain was separated. What shocked everyone was that behind the sky curtain, there was actually a huge monster hidden. As the sky curtain cracked, people could only see the tip of the iceberg at first, and then gradually saw its full appearance. When everyone saw its full appearance, they were all shocked. This was a living being that was so big that it was unimaginable. The monster's body was as small as an ant in front of it. This is... People looked at this figure with horror, and their bodies began to tremble constantly. The Sea Whale clan actually has something as vicious as you. Long Chun looked at the woman's face and said grimly, Sea Whale. The legendary monster that can devour a world? Didn't they say that the Sea Whale clan would not leave the sea? How could she appear here? People were shocked. They only understood the origin of the fat woman at this time. At this time, Tang Wan'er finally realized that it was no wonder that her attacks on the fat woman were ineffective. It turned out that her real body was hidden in the sky, and the fat woman was just her clone. Puff! At this moment, the fat woman's body split into two. She was terrified and pointed at Long Chun. She wanted to say something, but couldn't say it. Puff! At this moment, the behemoth above the 9 heavens also split into two. In the endless bloody rain full of fishy smell, the huge corpse began to fall. The corpse was too big. Once it fell, even people who retreated far away would be hit by it. Ha! However, the purple divine light flashed, wrapped the two huge corpses, and the bloody rain and the corpse disappeared in an instant. The terrifying strongman of the Sea Whale clan was killed by Long Chen just like that. At this moment, Fan Tienda and others were no longer calm. They didn't care about Yu Chongfeng's death before. That guy's strength was rubbish. It's better to have him without him so as not to get in the way. It's a pity that the strong man of the demon clan died. But such a person doesn't know how to cooperate and is of no use. But the fat woman of the Sea Whale clan is very powerful. Even Fan Tienda and Li Chongying are very afraid of her. And they didn't guess her origin. And Long Chun not only saw her origin, but also attacked her unexpectedly and killed her body directly. The death of the fat woman is a huge loss for them. Let's go together. At this time, a Blood Clan strongman, with flames flying around him, burned the power of the sky vein in an instant, and his breath rose rapidly. A meteor hammer whistled towards Long Chun. The meteor hammer was bigger than the table. It was a magic weapon made of the core of a star. It was amazingly heavy. Because this Blood Clan strongman was gifted, he could control such a heavy weapon. Boom, boom. The meteor hammer struck, making a piercing sonic boom. The power of this attack was unimaginable. Boom! However, what shocked everyone was that Long Chun did not use his sword to block such a terrifying weapon, but used his left hand as a claw to directly block it. With a loud bang, Long Chen's 5 fingers were like hooks, deeply piercing into the meteor hammer, grabbing it, and stopping it in midair. What? The Blood Clan strongman was horrified. He had fought countless battles, but he had never thought that someone could catch his attack in this way. Long Chun grabbed the meteor hammer with his bare hands and pulled it back violently, just using the meteor hammer to block Fan Tian's sword. Boom! With a loud bang, Fan Tian's Brahma blade was amazingly powerful, and the extremely hard meteor hammer was actually cut into a deep groove by him. No! The owner of the meteor hammer let out an unwilling roar at this time. The power of Long Chun made him fly towards Long Chun involuntarily. The most terrifying thing was that no matter how he struggled, the purple torrent around him was surging, pushing him towards Long Chun, which was clearly pushing him to death. Puff! The Blood Clan strongman crashed into the Dragon Bone Evil Moon, and the 13 dragon veins disappeared in an instant and were swallowed by the Dragon Bone Evil Moon, and his soul fire was instantly extinguished. When Long Chun had just killed the Blood Clan warrior, a thin and long sword stabbed from behind Long Chun. Long Chun swung the Dragon Bone Evil Moon in his hand and slashed the Blood Clan warrior's body to the back, blocking the sword at the critical moment. That was a warrior from the Life Hunting clan. They originally had thousands of top masters hiding in the crowd. However, Long Chen's indiscriminate attack killed them all. No matter how powerful the assassination technique was, it seemed so pale and powerless at this time. In the end, only he, a super warrior with 13 dragon veins, was left. At this time he found an opportunity to strike, and the timing was just right. However, Long Chun seemed to be a prophet and easily blocked it with his sword. The killer of the Life Hunting clan suddenly felt bad. If a killer's moves were predicted by the opponent, it would be dangerous. He retreated quickly and was about to drill into the void. With a boom sound, the meteor hammer in Long Chen's other hand exploded, forming endless fragments, instantly swallowing up most of the void. Puff! The Life Hunter, who had just become invisible, was hit by endless horrific fragments, and a mouthful of blood spurted out. The Life Hunter was not known for its defense. The horrific shock wave formed by Long Chen's crushing of the meteor hammer not only forced him out, but also severely injured him. Puff! The Life Hunter was horrified, and suddenly felt something was wrong. With a flash, he quickly fled. Buzz! At this moment, a black spear silently stabbed at Long Chun, like a poisonous fong in the dark night, until it approached Long Chun. The tip of the spear glowed, and the power of destroying the world burst out in an instant. This was Long Zai Ye's Dark Night Demon Spear, and it attacked exactly what Long Chun had to save. He couldn't let Long Chun kill the Life Hunter. Although he hated the killer, he had to admit that the killer would cause great pressure to Long Chun. Now Long Zai Yi has been shocked by Long Chun's power and no longer wants to fight Long Chun alone. As long as he can kill Long Chun, he has already used all means. Dang! The Dark Night Demon Spear stabbed down, and just as it was about to pierce Long Chen's body, Longu Sheiyue took a step ahead to block it at his waist. The Dark Night Demon Spear stabbed the blade, and Long Chun was blown away by the force of the spear. Not good. Long Zai suddenly felt bad, because he found that his power was rapidly fading, and a part of it was actually absorbed. Puff! Long Zai was about to remind him, but it was too late. Long Chun, who was blown away by him, not only avoided the attack of Minglong Tianfeng, but also struck out with a palm, and the void cracked. The desperately fleeing Life Hunter was slapped into a bloody mist by Long Chun's palm. The strongest point of the Life Hunters is their assassination ability. They cannot stand the light of day. Once they are exposed to the light, they are basically finished. After killing the Life Hunter with a palm, Long Chun spun around, His right leg was like a whip, and then the sound of dragon roars was loud. In the roar of thousands of ways, the purple dragon tail emerged, like a whip of the gods, sweeping across the world. At this time, Fan Tianda, Li Chongqing and others rushed desperately to save the man. Now Long Chun suddenly counterattacked, and this move was so powerful that everyone's face changed. The dragon swings its tail. Long Chun shouted, and the power of dragon blood burned instantly, and the purple flames engulfed the sky. The purple tail passed through the void, the space was deformed, and time was compressed. There were actually several shadows of dragon tails, real and fake, fast and slow, which made people dizzy. Boom! With a shocking explosion, a large area of time and space runes were flying, and blood mist filled the sky. In the splashing blood, some strong men exploded into blood mist. They were chasing Long Chun, but in an instant, the hunter and the prey changed. Everything happened too fast, so fast that people could not react. Long Chen's terrifying big move seemed to need no preparation at all. It was easy to use and there was no sign. The murderous intention was hidden in the invisible. By the time they reacted, everything was over. The purple breath rose, and the blood mist spread. Just now, there was a group of people besieging Long Chun, but now there are only 4 people left: Fan Tianda, Li Chongqing, Minglong Tianfeng, and Long Zhe. The rest were all killed by Long Chun one by one. Boss! It's too scary. Guoran and others were excited. This purple dragon's power is too strong. The little fox lay on by Shaola's shoulder, and his purple eyes were full of stars. At this time, it didn't have the slightest intention of expansion. At this time, Long Chun was surrounded by purple air, and the picture of the group of dragons arching the pearl behind him trembled. The dragon's power was agitated, and all the ways surrendered. He was indescribably brave and domineering. You can keep as many as you want. As long as you don't regret it in another world, it's fine. Long Chun snorted coldly. OM. Long Chun carried the dragon bone Evil Moon and formed a seal with his left hand. Suddenly, the divine map behind Long Chun trembled, and the bead in the group of dragon beads suddenly disappeared. Then a suffocating pressure came. The void began to crack inexplicably. The earth began to collapse and annihilate continuously, and black silk threads fell. People seemed to see the fault of space. The strong threat of death instantly enveloped the 4 people. They didn't know what happened, but they knew that if they kept it, they would really die. Ancestral blood is burning. Jili, God bless you. Long Zai Yi was the first to roar. The dragon vein disappeared. The blood was burning, and endless primitive Jili runes were wrapped around him. The wings of the gods behind him opened up the sky, and his aura suddenly soared several times. This guy can actually summon the original runes? When they saw those runes, Jiang Yue and Feng Fei couldn't help but smack their lips. Although they had comprehended some of the original Jili runes, these runes would be engraved in their blood souls after being comprehended, passively improving their various powers and accelerating the condensation of dragon veins. But if they wanted to use them, they couldn't do it with their abilities because in order to control the original runes, they must have the assistance of the power of the Imperial Way. And Long Zai Yi could actually summon the Jili runes. How could they not be surprised? Boom! On the other side, the divine flames rose around Brahma Tianda, and a small statue in his hand was crushed by him. A breath that suffocated the whole world merged with his body. The same was true for Minglong Tianfeng. He held a piece of black scale in his hand, and the scales exploded, the black blood essence burned, and the Imperial Way breath rose rapidly. His whole breath changed. Among the 4 people, only Li Chongqing did not make a big move, but his blood and energy began to rise, and the 9 springs in the gate of hell behind him flowed rapidly, and the breath condensed but did not emit. OM. At this moment, Long Chen's seal changed, and he shouted, "Dragon meteorite!" Boom! Suddenly, the sky above people's heads was pierced, and then a meteorite with a radius of tens of thousands of miles fell from the sky. That is People were all shocked when they saw the meteorite. On the meteorite, countless purple dragons were entangled, dragging their long tails, rushing towards the four people. The meteorite appeared, and the space where the four people were located began to collapse on a large scale. They were completely locked. At that moment, even Li Chongging's face changed. He finally understood the horror of this move. Work together to resist. Brahmatienda roared, and the four people attacked at the same time. For gods, for divine lights shot out, and they attacked directly without waiting for the meteorite to fall. Boom! For attacks containing their life strength hit the meteorite, but what shocked them was that the meteorite seemed to contain the power of the universe and was not affected by their power at all. Couldn't even slow down and smash towards the four people. Boom! The four people were hit by the meteorite. The meteorite kept pressing the four people and slammed into the earth. The earth, which was originally riddled with holes, could no longer withstand such an attack. It kept collapsing and soon formed a vortex. The vortex became bigger and deeper, swallowing everything here madly. Oh no! The boss has penetrated the earth, and the Tianmai Xianjing is about to collapse. Bai Shaola saw this scene and screamed in horror. His three-flower pupil saw the laws in the depths of the vortex collapse, and the world entered the process of self-destruction. Not that bad. Long Chun was also stunned. He didn't expect that this attack would be so powerful that it would directly penetrate the Tianmai Xianjing. Boom! The vortex on the earth became bigger and bigger. It was like a huge mouth that was about to swallow itself. In the void, various runes scattered and shattered. The spiritual energy between heaven and earth was rapidly disappearing. The heaven and earth were turning upside down, and the laws became disordered. This was the real destruction of the world. Senior, what should I do? Long Chun screamed, and could only ask the Chaos Dragon Emperor for help. At this time, the Chaos Dragon Emperor was still in shock. This magical power was not taught by it at all, but was created by Long Chun himself. In order to prevent the white-clothed Long Chun from stealing his unique skills, Long Chun suddenly had the idea to merge the star-falling technique of the year with the power of dragon blood. This move, in Long Chun's mind, had been calculated thousands of times, and it was easy to succeed. The dragon ball in the vision would attract the power of the stars in the sky to form a meteorite falling from the sky. But Long Chun never thought that the power of this move would be so terrifying that it would smash the world. At this time, Long Chun was too lazy to care about the lives of the four guys, and now he didn't know what to do about his own life and death. Buzz, buzz, buzz. At this moment, countless people in the distance were surrounded by light, and small whirlpools appeared behind them. The space gate has appeared. Run! Someone shouted in surprise, and plunged into the space gate and disappeared. Just when the Tianmai Xianjing was about to collapse, it finally sensed the outside world, and the space gate appeared. Entering the space gate, you can return to the entrance. But where Long Chun was, the space was distorted and collapsed, and the laws were already in chaos. There was no space gate at all. Long Chun, run! At this time, Long Tianrui in the outer area shouted, and she waved her jade hand, and a chain shot out at Long Chun. However, her chain did not fly far before it collapsed, because the laws of the area where Long Chun was located collapsed, and no magic could be performed. Seeing this scene, Long Tianrui, Feng Fei, Zhang Yui and others were very anxious. The space gate behind them had been opened, and they saw that the collapsed space was about to spread to their side. If they didn't leave, they would not be able to leave. You go, I have my own way, Long Chun shouted. Feng Fei and others saw that the world was about to collapse, gritted their teeth and stepped into the space gate. And at this moment, there was a loud bang, and a huge vortex swallowed the entire Tianmai Xianjing. The huge vortex began to reverse rapidly again, and suddenly there was a loud bang, and the huge Tianmai Xian realm was instantly transformed into nothingness. The heavenly vain profound realm was destroyed, and everything turned into nothingness. In the endless nothingness, the voice of the Chaos Dragon Emperor suddenly came. Don't you want to say something? After a long time, an old and deep voice came. You reminded him to do it, right? I thought too much. I finally found someone who can inherit my mantle. Although he is not from my dragon clan, he is still my disciple. How could I let him be contaminated with such a big karma? Said the Chaos Dragon Emperor. You dare to compete with the Lord of 9 Stars for disciples? Are you still afraid of being contaminated by this karma? The voice asked back. I have been imprisoned for so many years, and I have long looked down on life and death. I can bear any big karma. The key is that my magical powers are more important whether they can be passed on. Unfortunately, I was too arrogant when I was young and did not have the patience to train disciples. Later, a huge change suddenly occurred, and everything was too late. The end of the law era has arrived. The so-called genius can only be regarded as mediocre in the chaos era. But the appearance of Long Chun has given me hope, so I plan to pass on what I have learned in my life to him. When the Chaos Dragon Emperor mentioned Long Chun, his tone was obviously relieved and proud. Haha! Don't forget who caused us to be like this now. The voice sneered, and there was endless hatred in the sneer. The voice continued. The Lord of 9 Stars reached the pinnacle, holding the world in his hands, looking down on everything, and trying to reshape the order of heaven and earth. But what happened in the end? The 9 heavens and 10 earths were destroyed because of him, and they were almost doomed to be ruined. The vitality of all races was greatly damaged, and you and I were imprisoned. Our descendants are struggling in suffering and pain. Isn't it all thanks to them? You actually want to pass on your skills to the human race, or to the descendants of the Lord of 9 Stars? You have been imprisoned for too long. Xiaoyang, is your brain rusty too? At the end of the voice, anger rose, and every word was filled with endless resentment. Especially when mentioning the Lord of 9 Stars. He gnashed his teeth, as if arousing endless hatred. Hearing the man's roar, the Chaos Dragon Emperor fell silent. The voice seemed to sense that his tone was wrong, and softened his tone and said, Brother Xiaoyang, I have always respected you very much, but I really cannot understand your behavior. Xianming, did you just wake up recently? Chaos Dragon Emperor said. Not knowing why Chaos Dragon Emperor suddenly changed the subject, the voice said, Yes, I just woke up about 1,000,000 years ago, and this formation made me feel very uncomfortable. And I, for so many years, have been trying to maintain a half-asleep and half-awake state. Chaos Dragon Emperor said. Then you will have to endure endless torture. Xianming was shocked. Chaos Dragon Emperor said. Because I am unwilling to be imprisoned like this, and I am even more unwilling to let my skills go with me. I have been waiting for an opportunity to find a successor. At the same time, for so many years, I have been thinking about a question. I am looking for the answer to that catastrophe. Answer? What answer? Xianming was shocked. I think the 9 heavens and 10 earths are a conspiracy, and this conspiracy may continue to the era before we were born. Chaos Dragon Emperor said. How is it possible? You and I are both gods born from heaven and earth. We are the pioneers of this world. Before us, heaven and earth were in chaos. Xianming shouted. What about before chaos? Chaos Dragon Emperor asked. This. Xianming was speechless. Also, in your memory, do you have any impressions of your youth? Chaos Dragon Emperor asked. It was such a long time ago. How could I remember it? Xianming said. Have you ever thought, is it because you don't remember it? Or because you have forgotten it? Chaos Dragon Emperor asked again. Brother, do you mean? Xianming was shocked. Why did the Lord of 9 Stars want to destroy the order of the 9 heavens and 10 earths? Why did he make everyone desert him? Is he really crazy? Even if he is crazy, his wife is the only woman in the 9 heavens and 10 earths who has achieved enlightenment through elixir and ascended to the position of Heavenly Emperor. She is a person of great wisdom. Is she also crazy? Chaos Dragon Emperor asked. Xianming was silent for a while and said, But you cannot deny that the emotions and personalities of the human race are unstable, and they almost all have a tendency to self-destruct. When it snows, they will make snowmen. They are very happy in the process, but after being happy, they will blow up the snowmen with their own hands. They will create beautiful things with their own hands, and they will also destroy them with their own hands. When they see the snow-white walls, they like to pollute them with handprints and footprints. The human race is naturally intolerant of the existence of perfect things. When a perfect thing appears, people will discredit it, and if they cannot discredit it, they will find ways to destroy it. The most terrifying thing is that the human race will not only destroy external objects, but also self-destruct. Survival is an instinct, but the human race will go against instinct. Looking at the 9 heavens and 10 earths, all races and spirits, ask yourself, except for the human race, which race will commit suicide? Xianming said a lot in one breath. He had a very deep prejudice against the human race, but his words went straight to the point of human nature, and it was impossible to refute. Facing Xuanming's question, Chaos Dragon Emperor said, "The human race has a very good saying. The earth does not grow nameless grass, and the sky does not produce useless people." "You mean, does this world need them?" Xianming sneered. From his tone, it can be heard that the human race is the root of the world's troubles. If the human race can disappear from this world, the 9 heavens and 10 earths will become better. The current dilapidated situation is all caused by the human race. It's not that they are needed, but only they can drive the operation of this world. I know you don't agree with it. Let's put it this way, the human race is a combination of contradictions. They are a combination of good and evil, wisdom and stupidity, noble and lowly, and other opposing personalities. They are the most unstable factor in this world. Yes, as long as there are no them, the world will be balanced in yin and yang, won't it be stable? Xianming interrupted. But have you ever thought that this kind of balance is like a stagnant pool of water, which will eventually cause the world to decay and perish? Only a dynamic balance can make the world work. Today there is more yang, tomorrow there is more yin. Just like a seesaw, ups and downs are the essence of this world. If a seesaw stops moving, it means that the world is dead. Chaos Dragon Emperor explained. I don't understand what you said, but I still stick to my opinion. The human race is the creature I hate the most. I will never have anything to do with them in my life. Xianming said. Boom! At this moment, a muffled sound came, followed by another muffled sound, and several consecutive sounds. Hearing that sound, Chaos Dragon Emperor laughed. I'm afraid this is not up to you. Longchen broke through the Tianmai Shenjing, and other small worlds also lost balance. The shackles of Emperor Tian were detonated, and a new era is about to begin. Boom boom! In a wasteland in Emperor Heaven, countless monsters fled in terror. The tribe they were in suddenly collapsed, the tribal altar was directly turned into powder, and all the leaders were killed. The power of destruction made these brainless monsters feel endless fear. Then the earth collapsed, and in the roar of thousands of waves, an ancient city broke out of the ground. Looking at the ancient city, countless creatures poked their heads out of the city. When they saw the world in front of them, they were all stunned. Boom! A ball of light curtain exploded, raising endless mountains to the ground. A desolate world overlapped with this world, and the two worlds merged. When the breath of the two worlds merged, the earth exploded, and coffins rushed out of the earth and exploded in the void. Tall figures walked out of the coffins. Above Emperor Heaven, invisible forces collided back and forth, and countless transparent chains of order emerged above the 9 heavens. They wanted to restrain that power, but the power was too strong. After several impacts, the endless chain of order broke. As the chain of order broke, the space in countless corners of the Emperor's heaven was distorted, and small worlds emerged one after another. More and more hidden worlds were forcibly summoned out. The chain of order above the 9 heavens had completely lost its balance and began to collapse rapidly. Without the restraint of the chain of order, the vegetation in the Emperor's heaven was growing rapidly. Countless practitioners were stunned when they saw the scene in front of them. At that moment, they felt the warmth of the heaven and the favor of the earth. They felt the most gentle touch from this world. That moving feeling made countless people tremble. This world has changed. The chaotic energy is recovering, and the laws of the world are recovering. Under its influence, the practitioners feel that their minds have become clear in an instant. Many puzzled problems have a feeling of enlightenment. Boom! The Emperor's heaven began to change. Countless sleeping forces were forcibly awakened, and countless hidden worlds were forced to appear. Emperor Heaven was transforming. At the same time, other worlds such as Xian Heaven and Mingho Heaven were also affected by Emperor Heaven, and the chain of order began to collapse. The chain of order seemed to be a shackle tied to the 9 heavens. Now that Emperor Heaven had broken free of the shackles, other worlds followed suit. On the outskirts of the Tianyuan world, the huge abyss at the entrance of the Tianmai Shenjing was like a mouth that swallowed the world before. Now an endless torrent flew out of it, and countless figures were sprayed out. However, they went in an orderly manner, but when they came out, they were in a mess. They flew out one by one, and under the rapid rotation, even the Tianxing strongmen could not bear it. Some people vomited directly. If it was normal, it would be fine, but the key is that some people were too frightened, not only vomiting above but also vomiting below. Under the rapid rotation, it was like fireworks. Many people were sprayed all over their bodies and faces. That embarrassed look had long lost the demeanor of a master. However, when this group of people flew out, their faces were pale and their eyes were full of fear. When they felt the breath of Emperor Tian, they were so excited that they almost cried. Before, they felt that they were doomed, but now they have saved their lives. After flying out, they found that the place they came out of was not the place they came in from before. When they saw that the people in front of them were not from their own clan, and some of them even fell directly into the hostile forces, a bloody battle broke out immediately. For a moment, the entrance to the Tianmai Shenjing was in complete chaos. Asshole, where are our disciples? Why did you come out from here? Tell me, what did you do to them? The strong men outside wanted to welcome their disciples out, but they all came out with unfamiliar faces. They suddenly became manic and wanted to capture the other party and search their souls. The strong men who flew out from inside were still in shock at this time. They rushed desperately and sent distress signals to the tribe in various ways. Some forces received the distress signal, but were shocked to find that the signal came from multiple directions, very scattered, and not in the same area at all. For a moment, roars and screams resounded throughout the world. No one expected that this session of the Tianmai Shenjing would end in this way. In the tense fight, they were at a loss as to what happened, and they did not notice the changes in the laws of heaven and earth. Boom, boom. Suddenly the void trembled, and a bronze ancient tripod pierced through the void, followed by a huge dragon nest, closely following the footsteps of the ancient tripod. Whoosh! The ancient bronze tripod shattered the void and disappeared in an instant. The magnificent 10,000 dragons nest came flying with supreme divine brilliance. Ha ha ha! We are alive again! When rushing out of the destroyed Tianmai Shenjing, Guoran laughed arrogantly. When the Tianmai Shenjing collapsed, the destructive force generated was too scary. It was a force that no one could resist. If it weren't for the Chenquin Ding flying them out, they would have been crushed into powder together with the 10,000 dragons nest. It can be said that it was too dangerous because they were at the core of the collapse, and the power of Emperor Heaven could not be transmitted to them. Life and death were on the line. Now returning to Emperor Heaven, they feel that the air here is sweeter than before, and the power of heaven is more friendly, as if a wandering child finally returned to the arms of his mother. That touching feeling makes people sigh that it is so good to be alive. Wow, it's so chaotic. However, when they saw the surrounding situation clearly, everyone was shocked. What was going on? How could this be a chaotic battlefield? All tribes were in chaos. Some people even hacked and killed their own tribesmen. I didn't expect you to return in this way. I worried about you for nothing. At this moment, a gentle voice came. When Tang Wanner and all the disciples of Fengshen Hage heard that voice, they couldn't help but get excited. Master! Tang Wanner cried out, flew out of the 10,000 dragons nest, and flew straight to a figure in the void. Feng Xinyue stood in the void, with a peerless face and a graceful temperament. Her beautiful eyes were looking at everyone with tenderness. When she saw everyone appear, she breathed a sigh of relief. She didn't expect that the Tianmai Shenjing would collapse in an instant, and everything happened too fast. Even if she had the ability to penetrate the sky and the earth, she would not have time to rescue. Now that everyone has returned safely, when Tang Wan'er threw herself into Feng Xinyue's arms, Feng Xinyue's eyes became moist. Although she didn't know what happened inside, she knew that Tang Wan'er must have been scared. "You damned Dragon Blood Legion, you dare to kill my son. Today, I will make you pay with blood." Suddenly, a terrifying roar was heard, with bloody murderous intent in the roar, followed by a surge of demonic energy, accompanied by endless powerful demons, like a vast ocean. The demonic energy surged to the sky, and the imperial power was surging. The originally chaotic battlefield around also stopped fighting because of the appearance of the demon clan, and scattered everywhere, leaving a large open space. "Are you in trouble again?" Feng Xinyue saw this scene and looked at Long Chen with a smile on her lips. No, we are very well behaved in the Tianmai Shenjing. We have always adhered to the attitude of harmony and salvation of all living beings. We do good things and do good deeds. How can we cause trouble?" Long Chen said seriously. When Long Chen said this, the Dragon Blood warriors were fine. After all, they were used to it, but the hidden dragon warriors were trying hard to hold back their laughter, while the disciples of the Dragon Clan, Fengshen Hage, and the North-South Alliance had strange expressions on their faces. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, Long Chen killed hundreds of millions of strong men in a blink of an eye, and chopped the 13 veins of the Sky Saints one by one, they would have almost believed it. Boom, boom. As soon as the Demon Clan warriors arrived, the void exploded, and a group of Demon Clan figures emerged. Then, in the bloody air, the Blood Clan warriors arrived. The world was filled with fishy smells, and the void was torn apart. A huge monster covered the sky. It was a sea whale. In addition to the Demon Clan, Blood Clan, and sea monsters, there were also countless unknown races such as Dragon Clan, Evil Spirit Clan, and Fierce Monster Clan, all of which came to kill. The most important thing was that countless human clan warriors also came from all directions. Seeing this scene, the faces of the disciples of the North and South Alliance changed. They didn't expect that they had just escaped from the Tianmai Shenjing battlefield, but ended up entering another battlefield, and this battlefield seemed even more brutal. "Is this what you call saving all living beings?" Looking at the endless warriors, Feng Xinyue looked at Long Chen and said with a smile, "Of course, you also know that after conversion, good people will ascend to heaven, and bad people will naturally go to hell. As for whether to go to heaven or hell, it is not up to me. It all depends on personal luck." Long Chen still said stubbornly. In fact, the situation here was all within Long Chen's expectations. He killed so many people in the Tianmai Shenjing. It would be strange if their elders didn't go crazy. When the Tianmai Shenjing collapsed, with Long Chen's reaction speed, he was able to send everyone out of the collapse range and teleport them out. However, the Dragon Blood Corps and Long Chen are in different positions. If they return to their original positions, everyone's strength will be dispersed and it will be easy to be defeated one by one. Fortunately, Long Chen did not have so many concerns because once he did that, everyone would fly out randomly, and the entire team would be completely dispersed. With the dispersed strength, there will inevitably be large-scale casualties. Now, with the help of Chen Ding, everyone returned to the entrance of Fengshen Hage together, and all the strength was concentrated together. This is the best choice. It seems that a bloody battle is inevitable. Feng Xinyue looked at the countless strong men coming. The lineup was strong, and the momentum was amazing, and said, facing the endless number of Emperor-level masters, Feng Xinyue looked very calm, without a trace of emotional fluctuations, and the tone of her speech was just like chatting. When some truths don't make sense, fighting violence with violence is the only way to solve the problem. Senior, you are responsible for supporting us, and you don't need to do anything with these shrimp soldiers and crab generals. Long Chen said. After condensing 13 life veins, Long Chen's strength was unprecedented. However, Long Chun found that even with such strength, he still couldn't see through Feng Xinyue's cultivation. Her strength seemed to be a bottomless pit. But the more he couldn't see through it, the more excited Long Chun was. Feng Xinyue's strength was beyond imagination. With such a terrifying strong man backing her up, what was there to be afraid of? It was just right to settle the old and new accounts with them. Damn Dragon Blood Legion, you killed my son and my disciples. I want you to pay with blood. Anyone who dares to stop me will be killed without mercy. An old man from the Heavenly Demon Golden Monkey Clan led millions of strong men from the Heavenly Demon Alliance to kill. You should know that these people are all leaders of various clans. All of them are God Emperor level beings, and their aura is extremely terrifying. Damn human race. Dare to kill people from my Heavenly Whale Clan. Do you know how stupid you are? Die! An old woman came out of the void holding a bone fork. The old woman had a round body and an old face, almost exactly the same as the fat woman killed by Long Chun. Boom boom. The major clans rushed in frantically, roaring wildly one by one. But the Heavenly Demon Alliance took the lead and came first. The Dragon Blood Corps, the Hidden Dragon Corps, the Dragon Domain, the Wind God Sea Pavilion, the warriors of the North and South Alliances. Long Chun stood in the void, facing the endless powerful God Emperors. He shouted loudly, and his voice spread through the ages. In this world where right and wrong are not distinguished, and black and white are reversed, there is no justice to speak of. Relying on fathers will make us old, and relying on mountains will make mountains fall. If we want to survive in this world where the strong prey on the weak, we can only rely on our own passion to protect our loved ones. When someone wants to trample on our dignity, take our lives, and slaughter our loved ones, we must show our fangs, wave our weapons, burn our blood and lives, and declare war on this ugly world. Kill! Long Chen's voice was like the roar of a god, getting louder and louder. At the end, every word and every sound was like a thunder explosion, shaking the earth. Especially the last word, kill, which was stirring back and forth between heaven and earth. This word contained endless anger and unyielding. Kill. 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 The Dragon Blood Corps, Hidden Dragon Corps, Dragon Clan, Fengshen Hage, and disciples of the Northern and Southern Alliances were immediately excited. Long Chen's voice went straight to their souls. The oppression and humiliation of the past surged into their hearts, and the killing intent surged to the sky. If they didn't release the overwhelming killing intent in their chests, they felt that they would die immediately. Brothers, now is the moment of the decisive battle. No need to hold back. Go all out, Guoran shouted. Before, in the heavenly vain profound realm, he always remembered Long Chen's words that he must not use up all his strength, lest he be unable to cope with unpredictable changes. After Long Chen appeared, he rested in the 10,000 Dragons' nest, and their strength recovered to 90%, and they no longer needed to hold back at this time. Dragon Blood Battle Body Open. The Dragon Blood warriors roared in unison, and the dragon's roar resounded through the sky. The dragon veins and dragon blood phenomena merged, and the violent blood and chi power made the 10,000 ways roar and the universe tremble. When seeing the momentum of the Dragon Blood army, even Feng Xinyue couldn't help but feel a chill in her heart. More than 7,000 people have a common mind and soul resonance. How did he do it? This is what shocked her the most. She has lived for countless years and has never seen such a situation. This means that the power of so many people can be condensed into one at any time. Each of them is so strong. If the power of everyone is gathered together, the power is unimaginable. This guy. Feng Xinyue looked at Long Chun in front of the team, her eyes full of admiration. Purple Dragon Battle Body, open. Long Chun shouted, and the purple divine light soared into the sky. In the dragon roar, he rushed directly into the heavenly demon golden monkey camp like a purple meteor. Give me back my son's life. The old man of the heavenly demon golden monkey clan roared. His son was killed and he was already furious. His target was the purple-eyed, nine-tailed demon fox. However, Ho Tianwu was killed, and Long Chun had not yet appeared. He was blinded by anger and did not realize how terrible Long Chun was. Seeing Long Chun coming, he punched Long Chun with a whistling fist. "It's still not possible, but I can send you over so that you and your son can be reunited." Long Chun sneered. "You fart." Ho Tianwu's father roared, and his fist was full of golden light. All the power of the god was condensed on his fist in an instant. Seeing Ho Tianwu's father punching him, he also punched back. Bang! The golden fist collided with the purple fist, and the two-color divine light infected the sky. One was the god emperor sealed in the Chaos Age, and the other was the top Tianjiao in modern times. The collision of flesh and blood power did not have any fancy moves. It was obvious that both Long Chun and Ho Tianwu's father were very confident in their flesh. In the entanglement of purple and golden divine light, countless strong men of the heavenly demon golden monkey clan were blown away by the air wave. Pa! However, before everyone could see the situation in the air wave clearly, a loud bang was heard, and Ho Tianwu's father flew backwards, with a large purple handprint on his face. Against the backdrop of gold, this handprint was so conspicuous. The heavenly demon golden monkey clan. All of you go to hell. Just when people were still shocked by how the handprint on Ho Tianwu's father's face came from, a shrill roar was heard, and a sharp claw tore through the sky and fell directly into the heavenly demon golden monkey clan. Puff, puff, puff. This attack was extremely terrifying but silent. This was the killing move after Bai Shaola and Xiaojiu merged. The terrifying power was covered with the power of space. When the attack was launched, this attack became a death warrant. Hundreds of strong men of the heavenly demon golden monkey clan were directly slapped and exploded by a claw, and blood and flesh flew everywhere. Ah! Seeing the endless blood, the purple-eyed nine-tailed demon fox became even more crazy, and its huge body raged wildly. At this time, the strong men of the heavenly demon golden monkey clan revealed their true bodies and turned into giants to kill Xiaojiu. However, at this time, Xiaojiu was already blood-curdling, with sharp claws like knives, biting wildly, and even did not use his magical powers, because the feeling of touching flesh and blood during the biting would make him feel more comfortable. Boom! Ho Tianwu's father, who was slapped by Long Chun, roared loudly, and suddenly a divine light appeared behind his head. When the divine light appeared, the whole world suddenly sank, and his aura suddenly soared more than 10 times. The crown of the divine crown? When Long Chun saw the divine light behind his head, his heart trembled slightly. He finally saw that only the strong men of the Chaos era could condense the crown of the divine crown. Because it is now the Dharma ending age, the human emperor or the divine emperor of this era cannot condense the crown of the emperor. However, Long Chen's generation has caught up with the flow of luck. As long as he condenses his natal dragon vein, he can condense the crown of the emperor. The imperial crown also has grades. The more dragon veins one has, the more perfect one's performance will be when overcoming tribulations, and the higher the grade of the imperial crown. The grades of the imperial crown can be distinguished by color, which are red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, purple, blue, and purple. There are 7 grades, with red being the lowest and purple being the highest. The difference in strength between those with and without the imperial crown is huge, like an insurmountable gap. Ho Tianwu's father is a 9th-rank god emperor, but if he were an ordinary god emperor, he would not be able to take the punch from Long Chun, and would be seriously injured if not dead. However, he is a strong man from the Chaos era, and his body is nourished by the Chaos Qi, making it extremely powerful, which is simply incomparable to the strong men of this era. Therefore, although Long Chen's aura is strong, he thought he could easily blow up Long Chun with one punch, but he didn't get the upper hand after the blow, and was slapped by Long Chun. In his rage, he no longer wanted to hold back, and the divine light appeared behind his head. With the blessing of the divine light, his head seemed to be covered with the emperor's crown, which is also the origin of the name of the imperial crown. When the imperial crown appeared, Ho Tianwu's father's aura soared more than 10 times, and the power of heaven and earth kept gathering towards him, and his aura kept rising, and the powerful aura made the surrounding space buzz. Puff, puff, puff. Just as Ho Tianwu's father summoned the crown of the god's crown, the bloody battle had already begun, and the Dragon Blood Legion had already fought with the strong men of the Demon Clan. However, what the Demon Clan did not expect was that these powerful god emperors, who were in high positions, were simply leaks in front of the Dragon Blood Legion. The duel between the new and old strong men was simply an unequal massacre. Even the weakest strong men of the North and South Alliance fought bravely at this time, and the old generation of god emperors were killed and cried for their parents. It was not that the god emperors of this generation did not work hard enough, but that they were eliminated by the times. The blessing of the luck in the Tianmai-Shen realm caused a cliff-like gap. Seeing the strong men of the Tianyao Golden Monkey clan being killed, Ho Tianwu's father was very anxious. In order to avenge his son, he ordered the teleportation array to be opened and summoned all the strong men above the god emperor of the Tianyao alliance. Revenge for his son was one aspect, and it was also to show the dominant position of the demon clan and establish prestige to all races. Now that these god emperors have been slaughtered and the major forces have suffered heavy losses, who will be the commander of the Tianyao Golden Monkey in the future? Die! Ho Tianwu's father roared, and the golden long stick in his hand emerged. The divine light of the imperial crown flowed, and he smashed it down at Long Chun. Tisk, wearing a green hat, are you afraid that others don't know that your wife is beautiful? Long Chun sneered, waved his hand, and the dragon bone evil moon was in his hand. When Long Chun said this, Feng Xinyue, who was watching the battle from a distance, couldn't help but smile. This Long Chun was too mean. The imperial crown of Ho Tianwu's father was the 4th level of the rainbow level, green among red, orange, yellow, and green. This color of the imperial crown mainly contains life force and will strengthen the strength of the flesh. In fact, Ho Tianwu's father's imperial crown was purple, which was the top existence, but in the long seal, the power of his crown degenerated and eventually degenerated to green. When Ho Tianwu's father heard Long Chen's words, his face was green with anger, and his face was as ferocious as a ghost. Endless runes on the golden long stick lit up, and the whole body's strength was added. He wished that he could smash Long Chun into a pulp with a stick. Buzz. In the purple divine light, 13 dragon veins emerged, and the picture of a group of dragons holding a pearl reappeared. The moment it appeared, Long Chen's dragon blood power instantly burned up, and the violent power erupted like a volcano. Boom! The dragon pattern on the dragon bone evil moon lit up, and a knife slashed on the golden long stick, and the two forces of destruction collided with each other. Boom! Amid the rumbling divine sound, Long Chun and Ho Tianwu's father flew backwards at the same time, leaving a purple and golden ripple in the void. The god emperor of the chaos era is no more than this. Long Chun was shocked by Ho Tianwu's father's blow, and his blood was surging, and his arm was numb. However, this seemed to be a huge gap from the chaos god emperor he imagined. Boy, you were looking for death, was mocked by Long Chun, and Ho Tianwu's father was furious. Being mocked by a Tianxing boy was a great shame for him. Boom! The golden blood rose, and Ho Tianwu's father's crown of the god crown kept shaking, and the flames could be seen rising faintly. I have lost endless power over the long years. Although I am less than 1% of my peak period, I am not a small trash like you who can despise me. Ho Tianwu's father gritted his teeth, his face ferocious. His breath was rising rapidly, and the pressure of the emperor's way was getting stronger and stronger. At the same time, the fierce killing intent locked Long Chun tightly. Ho Tianwu's father was completely furious. Being looked down upon by a human kid made him even more angry than his son's death. Bang! The void beneath Ho Tianwu's father's feet exploded. With the burning golden divine flame, he rushed towards Long Chun like a golden lightning. At this time, his aura surged several times again. Go to hell! Ho Tianwu's father roared, with golden flames flying around him. The golden long stick was shining with thousands of golden lights, and he attacked Long Chun frantically. "You are an old and ugly beast, and you don't want to die, so why should I die?" Long Chun sneered, and the dragon bone evil moon flew rapidly. Boom, boom, boom. The dragon bone evil moon and the golden long stick collided wildly. Both of them fought fast and broke the attack with attack. In the blink of an eye, they fought dozens of moves. Boom! Suddenly, Long Chun and Ho Tianwu's father shouted at the same time, and there was a loud bang. Under the hard fight of the two divine weapons, Long Chun and Ho Tianwu's father retreated at the same time. At the moment when Long Chun retreated, a bone fork fell from the sky, carrying supreme power, and attacked Long Chun. It was the old woman of the Sea Whale clan who attacked. "Boss!" Guoran shouted. "Don't worry about me. I'll kill you." Long Chun shouted coldly. "OM." Seeing the bone fork stabbing at him, Long Chun formed a seal with his left hand and slapped it. A transparent shield emerged. A huge U character appeared on the shield. Around it, there were countless runes flowing, and the chaotic energy was entangled. When the shield came out, the world shook. Bang! The bone fork slashed fiercely on the rune shield. What shocked the old woman of the Sea Whale clan was that when the shield trembled, her power to destroy the world disappeared without a trace like a drop in the ocean. And just when Long Chun was resisting the old woman of the Sea Whale clan, Ho Tianwu's father, the strongest man in the Chaos era, actually had a big face and attacked Long Chun from behind, hitting Long Chun's back with a stick. "You are so shameless. If that's the case, don't blame me." Long Chun sneered. The dragon bone evil moon was buzzing. 13 dragon shadows were entangled, and a strong and fierce breath rose. Long Chun suddenly integrated all his strength and the old woman's strength into this knife. The crescent moon is shocking the sky. Long Chun slashed with a knife, and the knife shadow pierced the sky. The stars poured down, and the 10,000 roads were torn apart. When seeing this knife, Guoran and others immediately remembered the white-clothed Long Chen's amazing knife. At this time, Long Chen's knife was very similar to that knife in terms of aura. When this knife was slashed, time and space seemed to be distorted. With a loud bang, Ho Tianwu's father spurted out a mouthful of blood and flew out with the stick. Boom, boom. His figure flew along the ground, piercing through countless mountains, and disappeared at the end of people's sight. Dai, the old woman from the Sea Whale clan, was shocked and angry when she saw that Long Chun had borrowed her strength and took the opportunity to severely injure Ho Tianwu's father. Suddenly, she opened her mouth and a black sword shot towards Long Chen's brow. Swish, the sharp sword broke through the air. Even the Dao runes were cut off, and a big hole was forcibly pierced in the void where Long Chun was. However, this attack missed, and Long Chun dodged this fatal attack by leaning sideways when the sharp blade was about to hit him. Long Chen's heart trembled. This attack was incredibly powerful. Fortunately, he was experienced and instinctively dodged this attack. If it were someone else, they would not be able to avoid it at such a close distance. Boom! Long Chun raised his head to avoid this attack and kicked the old woman in the face. With a loud bang, the old woman was kicked over by Long Chun. Long Chun! At this moment, a gritting voice suddenly came, and Long Chun was startled when he heard this voice. Buzz! A spear pierced through the sky, carrying the murderous intent that made all the Daos terrified and shot towards Long Chun. Boom! Long Chun was caught off guard and was blown away by the spear. Long Chun looked into the void. Wow! You are so lucky that you are still alive? Above the void, Long Zhe, who was covered in blood, was full of murderous aura, with divine flames flowing around him, and 13 dragon veins burning wildly. When he looked at Long Chun, his face was distorted. I am not dead, which means your death is coming. Long Zhe roared, and his wings behind him trembled. With his divine blood burning, he rushed towards Long Chun like crazy. Turned out that when Long Chun released that big move, Long Zhe and others were directly pressed into the earth, and the violent force almost crushed him directly. However, at the moment he was about to explode, Tianmai Shenjing was the first to be unable to bear it, and the law collapsed. At that moment, Long Yun's power was dispersed by the collapsed law. However, they were in the collapsing laws, and they would eventually perish along with the heavenly vain mysterious realm. However, at the critical moment, Long Zhe burned his divine blood, and finally broke out of the shackles of the laws and escaped from the space gate. After a narrow escape, he returned to Emperor Heaven, and instantly sensed Long Chen's breath. With a surging hatred, he killed him immediately. You picked up a life, but you don't cherish it, and you have to come here to die. Why bother? In this case, let me see if you can still be as lucky as last time. Buzz. Long Chun raised the dragon bone evil moon in his hand, and 13 giant dragons behind him rose with purple flames. At that moment, Long Chun no longer held back and finally took out the state in the heavenly vain mysterious realm. Boom! The purple flames rushed straight into the sky and pierced through the sky. Long Chen's breath was like a violent volcanic eruption. Boom! Long Zhe, who rushed towards Long Chun, was chopped off by Long Chun with a knife, and blood spurted wildly. Long Zhe was shocked and angry. He couldn't believe that Long Chun could still maintain his peak state. Death! However, at this moment, 3 figures came from 3 directions at the same time. They were Minglong Tianfeng, Fan Tian, and Li Chongjing. They were not dead and escaped at the last moment. The 3 people seemed to have made an appointment and attacked Long Chun from 3 directions. At this time, Long Chun had just repelled Long Zhe, giving them the opportunity to lock him. At that moment, Long Zhe suddenly understood that when he attacked, these 3 guys had been observing him secretly and used him as bait to lure Long Chun to reveal his flaws. At that moment he was shocked and angry. This was simply the greatest humiliation for him. Long Chun was suddenly locked by 3 people at the same time, but a sneer appeared on his face and his left hand was raised high. Huolinger, Lei Linger, don't hold back for me. Use all your strength for me. Buzz! 2 balls of flames appeared on the thumb and middle finger of Long Chen's left hand, and the breath of destruction surged. At that moment, the sky and the earth changed color. 2 balls of flames rose rapidly, and the golden crow and the jade rabbit emerged. The temperature between heaven and earth rose rapidly, and the will of destruction burst out. At the same time, in Long Chen's chaotic space, the flames on the Fusang ancient tree and the Taiyin tree, which were originally burning, disappeared in an instant. Buzz! And the 2 balls of flames on Long Chen's fingertips, the divine light surged, swallowed up the sky, and engulfed the figures of the 3 people. All Dharmas returned to the orbit. As Long Chen shouted, a loud bang came, and the Taiyin and the sun fires blended and burst into a wave of fire that destroyed the world. Boom, boom, boom. The 3 figures were knocked away, and blood spurted out one by one, and they were in a mess. Long Chen used this move in the Tianmai realm. At first, the 3 people from Minglong Tianfeng didn't care. Although Long Chen's attack was amazing and had a large range, it didn't pose a threat to them. So when Long Chen's starting move appeared, they didn't care, but when the power of Taiyin and the sun broke out, they realized that the power of Long Chen's attack was 100 times that of the Tianmai realm. It turned out that in the Tianmai realm, Long Chen only used part of the power of the golden crow and the jade rabbit because his goal was to kill those small fish, and at the same time, he also wanted to try what kind of power would be produced after the Taiyin fire and the sun fire exploded and the golden crow and the jade rabbit merged. To put it bluntly, it was just a test, and this time, Long Chen had completely mastered the 2 powers, and directly used the golden crow and the jade rabbit to extract the power of the Fusang ancient tree and the Taiyin tree. Now that the golden crow has been reborn, according to Huolinger, the golden crows at this moment are equivalent to the strong men in the human emperor realm of the human race. The sun fire of the golden crows who have advanced to the human emperor realm has undergone a qualitative change, and compared with the past, it is not the same concept at all. This is the first time that Long Chen has used the original power of the Fusang ancient tree and the Taiyin tree. the violent power exploded, and the three peerless Tianjiao could not resist it. One by one, they were shaken and cracked all over, and almost exploded directly. The most important thing is that the Taiyin and Sun fires invaded their blood and even their souls, burning them from the inside, and they screamed miserably. In the blink of an eye, the three strong men were almost wiped out, and Long Chen's palm was also shaken to a bloody mess. Even with Long Chen's current strength, he could not control such a terrifying blow and was injured. However, this injury was nothing to Long Chen. After the blow, before the flames in the sky dispersed, Long Chen flashed and had already bullied Fan Tianda, and the dragon bone evil moon slashed down. Boom! The flames in Fan Tianda's body rose, and he was in extreme pain. He tried his best to resist this blow, but there was a loud bang, and Fan Tianda was cut into the earth by Long Chen like a meteor. His breath disappeared instantly, and he didn't know whether he was dead or alive. Hoo-hoo! Seeing Fan Tianda suffer a great loss, Minglong Tianfeng and Li Chongying retreated rapidly. The power of fire was still eroding their flesh and soul. In this state, fighting with Long Chen was to seek death. Boom! At this moment, the breath of the divine emperor radiated, and Ho Tianwu's father came again. At this time, his hair was disheveled, his eyes were red, and he looked crazy. Damn human kid! How dare you look down on me? Ho Tianwu's father had suffered losses at the hands of Long Chen. He was completely mad. Even in the Chaos era, he was a peerless god emperor. Now, he was defeated by a kid from the Dharma ending era. He couldn't accept this fact. Boom, boom, boom. The golden divine light behind Ho Tianwu's father surged, and endless golden runes exploded. His skin was rapidly withering, and his vitality was rapidly decreasing. At the same time, his aura was soaring wildly. It was obvious that Ho Tianwu's father had gone completely crazy. He burned his blood, soul, and life force to forcibly increase his strength. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Not only did his aura increase, but it also underwent a qualitative change. In the green crown of the god's crown, strands of black hair appeared. As the black hair appeared, the fluctuations of the world became more intense. Look down on you? If you were a little shorter, I wouldn't be able to see you. If you don't accept it, come and fight. Facing the almost crazy Chaos-era God Emperor, Long Chen said this in a murderous and heartbreaking way. The heavenly demon Golden Monkey clan was originally short in stature, and they had a strong sense of self-esteem. They hated others mentioning their weakness the most. Although they could also transform into 1,000 miles, they would only do so when they relied on external forces. Without the help of external forces, the original body was the strongest. Otherwise the huge body would only become a burden on their body. Ah! Long Chen's words pierced into the heart of Ho Tianwu's father like a poisonous arrow. He let out a shocking roar. His voice was hoarse, and he was completely mad. The demon of heaven burns the soul. The golden monkey kills the sky. The divine light on the golden long stick in Ho Tianwu's father's hand rose rapidly, and his body shrank rapidly. His hair fell off and turned into ashes in the air. Ho Tianwu's father actually put all his life force into this attack. This attack will kill you or me. Hey, I was just joking. How about we shake hands and make peace? Long Chen suddenly laughed. Go to hell. Facing the laughing Long Chen, Ho Tianwu's father was almost mad, and his breath almost dispersed. Seeing that Ho Tianwu's father was unwilling to shake hands and make peace, Long Chen took a deep breath, opened his left hand, and the Yu, divine rune appeared. However, this time, unlike the past, the moment the divine rune appeared, 3,000 purple divine lights appeared in the vision behind Long Chen. Those were the 3,000 original divine runes that Long Chen copied from the Jili divine monument. At that moment, Long Chen's expression became serious. He had been comprehending this move for a long time, but because he was afraid of being spied on by the white-clothed Long Chen, he had never really used it. What he had used before were only semi-finished products, but facing Ho Tianwu's father's desperate attack, he could only use this move in its complete state. Divine shield appeared, and the 3,000 divine runes took it as the core, like a plum blossom blooming, forming a strange divine map. The moment the divine map was formed, the mountains and rivers rotated, and the sun, moon and stars emerged. This was the complete form of this move. Long Chun called out its name, Shen Yu. Om. When Long Chun called out its name, the shield seemed to be given life, and the breath of the 3,000 divine runes merged with the heaven and earth in an instant. Boom! Under the tense gaze of countless people, the golden long stick slammed hard on the shield that was only a few feet in size. Om. What shocked everyone was that this attack, which contained the lifelong strength of Ho Tianwu's father, did not blow up the shield. The 3,000 runes on the shield slowly lit up, and it actually absorbed the power of this attack silently. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The dragon bone evil moon on Long Chen's shoulder lit up with dragon patterns, and suddenly broke away from Long Chen's shoulder and slashed fiercely behind him. The shadow of the knife was shocking, and it fell towards a void. At that position, a figure holding a bone fork pierced through the sky and stabbed straight at Long Chen's back. This attack came from Long Chen's blind spot. Logically, Long Chun could not take this into account when he was fully focused on dealing with the attack from Ho Tianwu's father. However, Long Chun seemed to have known that the old woman of the Sea Whale clan would attack him by surprise. The dragon bone evil moon absorbed all the power absorbed by the shield of God into the knife. Bang! With a shocking explosion, the bone fork exploded, and the old woman was cut into 2 pieces by Long Chen's knife. The old woman of the Sea Whale clan never thought of how she failed until she died. Puff! The old woman of the Sea Whale clan was killed, and her true body appeared. Long Chun waved his hand and took it directly into the chaotic space without waiting for its body to be fully enlarged. Now on the black soil of the chaotic space, the previous sea whale corpse has not been digested, and the corpses are stacked like mountains. How could this happen? Ho Tianwu's father was now shrunken. His breath was like a candle in the wind, and it could go out at any time. He looked at the shield in front of him in disbelief. This attack, which had gathered all his life's strength, could not shake the shield. Old Deng, you deserve to die. This is one of my strongest magical powers. Okay, it's almost time. Don't let your son wait too long. By the way, when you get over there, say hello to Ho Tianwu for me. Long Chun said, pointing a finger. Puff! A lightning bolt shot out and pierced Ho Tianwu's father's eyebrows. He was already exhausted and had no strength to dodge. He was instantly killed by a single blow. At that moment, the whole audience was shocked. Is this Long Chun a monster? Being besieged by 13 dragon vein-level masters, he was still able to kill the old generation of divine emperor masters. The most terrifying thing was that he acted so easily. Feng Xinyue stood in the void, her beautiful eyes flashing. She had been paying attention to the movements of the entire battlefield. The dragon blood core was like a tiger entering a flock of sheep. It was a one-sided massacre. Tang Wanner led the hidden dragon core and the disciples of Feng Shenhage to fight in a roundabout way. She rarely took action herself, leaving all the opportunities to others. Feng Xinyue's face showed a look of relief. Tang Wanner had grown a lot this time. She was no longer competitive and knew how to take the overall situation into consideration. She gradually had the demeanor of a leader. There was no security problem here. Feng Xinyue's mind was mostly on Long Chun. Seeing that Long Chun faced the siege of many powerful people, his strength and tactics were perfect. The master's demeanor of having everything under control, even Feng Xinyue had to sigh. Some people are born commanders. This control is not something that can be achieved by hard work. While chatting and laughing, he calculated and killed 2 powerful god emperors of the Chaos era. Outsiders may think that this is an ignoble method, but in Feng Xinyue's view, this is the real wisdom. Your arrogance will stop here. Suddenly, Brahmada came out with gnashing teeth. The divine light around him was burning. Endless runes gathered at his brows, and a faint Brahma appeared. When the Brahma character appeared, Brahmada's aura changed. The sacred aura burned, the void roared and exploded, and the void behind him cracked, and a figure slowly emerged. When the figure emerged, the suffocating pressure instantly locked onto Long Chun. Ha! Longu Sheyue carried it on his shoulder, and Long Chun curled his lips and said, "Are you finally going to move your father out? Before, I was wondering why you didn't summon your father? Is your son wild?" That figure was the figure of the great Brahma, but it was not a statue but more like a Dharma body. This Dharma body kept switching between the virtual and the real. An endless divine power was injected into Brahmada's body from the Dharma body. "How dare you blaspheme the Lord Brahma? You, Long Chun, deserve to die 1,000 times. I have allowed you to be so arrogant until now. You should be content and grateful. I am going to show my true strength, and next you will understand what the real gap is." Brahmada said coldly, and his voice changed at this time. Every word and every sound carries supreme divine power, like the decree of the gods, respected by all. This is the power of Brahma. Even a trace of the power of the Dharma body is enough to suppress the universe. Come on, stop it. Will you die if you don't brag? From the past to now, when have I, Long Chun, not been arrogant? If you can't beat him, just summon the power of Brahma. If you summon, then summon. Can you stop making those boring excuses? If you have the ability, you don't need to use the power of others. Since you have used it, you are not qualified to brag. Understand? Long Chun said disdainfully. Long Chun knew that Brahma had this trick a long time ago, and he had been waiting for it. He is the son of Brahma. He used his power, and Long Chun did not despise him. But before using his power, he still pretended to be cool, as if he had been playing tricks on Long Chun, which made people despise him. "You are full of foul language. I am too lazy to waste my time talking to you. I, Brahmada, will take your life." Boom! Brahmada's figure flashed, and amid the roar of thousands of ways, he took a step forward, with many phantoms, and rushed straight towards Long Chun. "Can you die if you don't brag?" Long Chun was also aroused with anger. The dragon veins burned, the dragon blood boiled, the purple divine light bloomed like the sun, and he cut it down with a knife. Boom! The swords slashed each other. The power of faith and the purple divine light were like two worlds colliding, madly eroding each other, and the power of the two people rose rapidly, as if there was no end. However, even if Brahmada used the power of the Dharma body of the great Brahma, he could not suppress Long Chun, and a hint of disbelief appeared in his eyes. "My power is 100, your power is only 30. The power of the Dharmakaya of great Brahma is 1,000, which is 10 times that of mine. But so what? Don't you know how much power of Brahma your tiny body can carry? Do you think you can suppress me by summoning the Dharmakaya of Brahma? Is your head full of shit?" Long Chun shouted angrily. Bang! Dragon Bone Evil Moon pushed hard, and with a bang, Brahmada was blown away. People were shocked. In this state, Brahmada was still suppressed by Long Chun. Brahma Lingfeng slash. Brahmada roared, holding the sword with both hands. He was still retreating, and he slashed down with one sword, and the sky curtain was cut open by him. Dragon blood returns to blade. Facing Brahmada's violent attack, 13 dragon shadows flew out from Long Chun's arm, entwining Dragon Bone Evil Moon, and the blade of Dragon Bone Evil Moon was covered with purple ripples. Bang! The two magic weapons collided again, and the two men groaned and flew backwards at the same time. In this attack, neither of them took advantage. However, the terrifying pressure caused the laws of the entire world to collapse. In the void, there appeared cotton-like falling things. They were the product of the collapse of the Tao rune and the lack of time to repair itself. This kind of vision has never been seen by countless people in their lives. Such amazing destructive power makes people's scalps numb. At this time, the strong men of various races saw this scene and had no intention of competing with the Dragon Blood army. They fled the battlefield one after another. "I don't believe it!" Brahmada roared. He didn't believe that he summoned the Brahma Dharma body and still couldn't suppress Long Chun. The long sword flew and slashed wildly. Boom, boom, boom. The swords slashed wildly, and ripples of death broke out in the void, washing the world wildly. The two fought for 36 moves in one breath. The two retreated again. Long Chun was slightly out of breath and had already revealed a trace of fatigue. Brahmada's mouth was bleeding, panting like a cow, and sweating like rain. Obviously, his consumption was greater than Long Chun. Boom! Suddenly, the space moved abnormally, and a figure quietly emerged, and a black and ink-black sky-covering hand grabbed Long Chun. The big hand appeared, and the power of the emperor eroded the entire world. All the laws of the world had to succumb to it. You also used your father's power? Why not let your father possess you? Facing the big hand that covered the sky, Long Chun sneered, knowing that it was Nether Dragon Tianfeng who made the move. This attack contained the power of the Nether Emperor, but not the will of the Nether Emperor. OM. The dragon bone evil moon in Long Chen's hand glowed, and the power of dragon blood burned. With the blessing of the 13 heavenly veins of dragon energy, Long Chen's dragon blood power seemed endless. He was not afraid of any enemy, even when facing Brahmatienda and Nether Dragon Tianfeng who relied on external forces. Boom! However, before Long Chun could make a move, a divine light shot out from the sky and hit the big hand. With a loud bang, the black hand that covered the sky was actually shattered by the divine light. When seeing the divine light, Long Chun could not help but be surprised and happy, and at this moment, a familiar voice came. In front of Wuliang Mountain is Wuliang Palace, outside Wuliang Gate is Wuliang Pine. The dream of the genius is ultimately nowhere to go. Once you meet Nian, it will all be in vain. The voice of the showman resounded through the world, followed by a roar and explosion, and an ancient coffin broke through the air. On the coffin, a man stood up, with a black cloak covering his whole body, and a colorful longbow was held in his hand. When countless pairs of eyes in the audience focused on him, he waved his hand and lifted the cloak in an extremely chic and neat posture, revealing Nian's handsome face, but with endless showmanship and mixed with baby fat. Don't panic, Long Chun. Nian, come to help you. Let me see how strong the son of the Hades is. Nian shouted loudly, waved the longbow in his hand, and the divine light was excited, and he descended on the battlefield in an extremely arrogant manner. Damn, which eye of yours saw me panic? Can't you see there's such a terrifying existence behind me to support me? Why should I panic? Long Chun was speechless. Where did this idiot come from? Come and die! Minglong Tianfeng shouted angrily. Minglong Tianfeng's attack was penetrated by Nian, and he was shocked and angry. Seeing that Nian was so awesome as soon as he appeared, reciting poems and putting on airs, Minglong Tianfeng was furious. He suddenly felt that this guy named Nian was more annoying than Long Chun. At this time, Minglong Tianfeng was covered by black smoke, and a black crystal was embedded in his brow. The surging power of the emperor came from the black crystal. Don't say that the world is silent. One person and one bow hold up the sky, facing the wind and jade trees, and I can travel freely in the 9 heavens and 10 earths. After the coffin flew to the edge of the battlefield, it slowed down, as if to give himself time to recite poems. Nian raised his face, squinted at the sky, and looked at the world with his nostrils. He looked as showy as he could be. Long Chen's scalp tingled and goosebumps appeared. Nian, this guy, would create the conditions for pretense if he didn't have them. If he had them, he would try every possible way to pretend to be more gorgeous. The doggerel that followed didn't have any poetic mood. It was just a jingle. However, with his arrogant tone, showy expression, and pretentious arrogance, his face was full of words. How lonely it is to be invincible. I can't stand it anymore. Die. Minglong Tianfeng was so angry that his teeth were about to break. He had seen people pretending to be pretentious, but he had never seen someone who was so pretentious. Boom! Minglong Tianfeng turned into Minglongshan crazy at this time. His long hair stood up in anger. He took a step forward, and 13 dragon veins ignited the fire of the underworld, as if a fierce god came out of hell, and the long spear was excited and pierced Ammonian. Minglong Tianfeng activated the Hades stone. Like Brahma Tianda, he could use the power of the Hades. At this time, his combat power was overwhelming. It's time to let this world feel the power from the Wuliang lineage. Seeing Minglong Tianfeng coming, Ammonian was not in a hurry. He formed a seal with one hand. Suddenly, the void behind Ammonian broke open, and 13 halos emerged. In each halo, a palace appeared. The ancient palace emerged, and the sacred and majestic power radiated. Why is his dragon vein like this? People in the palace felt the breath of the destiny dragon vein, but they could not see the shadow of the dragon vein. People couldn't help but be shocked. With it, boom! Ammonian swung his longbow and hit Minglong Tianfeng's blow. But the picture of the sky and the earth breaking that people imagined did not appear. Although the sound was huge, the destructive power seemed to be much smaller than everyone imagined. Minglong Tianfeng's face suddenly changed. On Ammonian's longbow there was a huge pulling force attached, which actually pulled him directly into Ammonian. Seeing that he couldn't stop, Minglong Tianfeng suddenly lowered his shoulders and hit Ammonian's chest hard. In close combat, he was not afraid of anyone except for the one he lost to Long Chun. Kacha! However, just as he crashed into Ammonian, the coffin board under Ammonian's feet suddenly bounced open, and Ammonian was bounced out, and Minglong Tianfeng screamed and actually crashed directly into the coffin. Bang! Minglong Tianfeng entered the coffin, and the coffin lid closed in an instant. Ammonian took out a handful of talismans with a smile, and sealed them on the coffin one by one, while muttering rhythmically. Cross the 9 heavens, take a big step. Mr. Mo opened a coffin shop. Coffin shop, the coffin is good, one end is big and the other end is small. The dead can't live, and the living can't run away. Pa pa pa. Ammonian muttered words like a spell, and at the same time, the talismans sealed the entire coffin. Bang bang bang. There were bursts of muffled sounds from the coffin, which seemed to be mixed with Minglong Tianfeng's scolding. It seemed that Minglong Tianfeng in the coffin was struggling frantically to break out of the coffin. TSK, this is the treasure I got in the Tianmai Xianjing. If you can escape from it, I, Ammonian, will take your surname. Ammonian said arrogantly. Long Chun, can you kill that Fan Queed? If you can't, give them both to me, I will take them all. Ammonian stood on the coffin and shouted to Long Chun, while his eyes looked at Li Chongqing not far away. Ammonian saw at a glance that this Li Chongqing had a terrifying aura. He didn't know where this Li Chongqing came from, but this guy was definitely a terrible enemy. Ammonian calculated Minglong Tianfeng as soon as he appeared, just to be able to concentrate on dealing with this terrible guy. At this time, Fan Tianda's face was gloomy, and murderous intent surged in his eyes. He didn't expect that another crazy Ammonian would come out halfway. Minglong Tianfeng, the idiot, was calculated by others and fell into the trap directly. They instantly lost a combat power. Long Zhe, who was not far away, was gritting his teeth and trembling all over. Facing the full-powered Long Chun, he did not have the courage to attack. Under the pressure of Long Chan and Fan Tianda, he knew that if he attacked forcefully, he would only bring shame upon himself. Long Chun, do you not want Yu Zifeng's life? However, at this moment, a cold shout suddenly came from the void. At that moment, the hearts of Long Chun and others rose to their throats in an instant. The thing he was most worried about had happened. Zifeng is in trouble. Following that shout, a group of figures emerged, with the leader being a middle-aged man with a square face, a beard, and a long sword on his back. As soon as he appeared, everyone, including Long Chun, felt their souls tremble. This was a terrifying sword cultivator. Not only was he a sword cultivator, but he was also surrounded by the aura of chaos. He was a powerful divine emperor sealed in the chaos era. He did not show the crown of the divine emperor, but his aura was countless times stronger than that of Ho Tianwu's father and the old woman of the Sea Whale clan who were killed by Long Chun. They were not at the same level at all. Behind the middle-aged man were countless young disciples carrying long swords on their backs. Their auras were like sharp blades unsheathed, chilling one's soul. Ling Tian lineage. When Long Chun saw this group of people, his heart sank rapidly, and his eyes became more and more fierce. When this group of people appeared, the battle stopped instantly, and Tang Wanner led everyone back to Feng Xinyue's side. Master! Tang Wanner was a little nervous and looked at Feng Xinyue. Let's wait and see what happens. Feng Xinyue consoled. This group of people is not large, only a few 100,000 people, which is very small compared to other tribes. But their arrival has brought tremendous pressure to countless people, because they are a group of terrible sword cultivators. Long Chun, do you recognize this guy? At this moment, the middle-aged man waved his hand, and two disciples carried a bloody man out. When they saw that figure, Long Chun and all the dragon blood warriors' heads buzzed, and they clenched their weapons one by one, and the gushing murderous intent caused a large area of space to distort. That person was none other than Yu Zifeng. But at this time, Yu Zifeng's body was full of nails, and on each nail, there were strange runes flowing, and they were torturing Yu Zifeng. Crack! Long Chen's fists creaked, and the veins on his forehead bulged. In his eyes, black spots kept flashing, and the murderous intent kept burning. Long Chen's body began to tremble because of anger. Long Chun, calm down. Yu Zifeng's life is in their hands. It is not appropriate to act violently. Seeing Long Chen's expression, Nian hurriedly transmitted his voice. However, Nian was also panicked at this time. Although he was extremely powerful, Yu Zifeng was threatened, and there was a god emperor from the Chaos era. They did not dare to take action easily. Seeing Long Chen's face full of murderous intent, the middle-aged man seemed very satisfied and said coldly, "This guy named Yu Zifeng killed hundreds of thousands of disciples of my Lingtian lineage in the Tianmaixian realm, and was eventually captured alive. Tell me, how should I deal with him?" "Draw a line," Long Chun said with a gloomy face. The middle-aged man did not seem to understand what Long Chun meant by this sentence. In his era, it seemed that no one spoke like this. A disciple whispered to him a few words, and then he looked at Long Chun and said, "Don't waste any more nonsense. Let him hand over the fragments of the magic sword, and the grudges will be wiped out." Hearing the fragments of the magic sword, Long Chun instantly understood. According to Long Chen's calculations, the fragments of the magic sword attracted countless sword cultivators, which would inevitably cause bloodshed. However, according to Long Chen's understanding of Yu Zifeng, no one in the same level can defeat him. Even if he encounters a group attack, Yu Zifeng can retreat unscathed. But at this time he was captured alive. There must be something strange. Long Chun looked at the middle-aged man with a sharp look in his eyes, and said nothing. "You can rest assured. As one of the 7 sons of Lingtian, I, Zuoyen, will definitely keep my word." Seeing Long Chen's eyes flickering, the middle-aged man said proudly, "The 7 sons of Lingtian are the 7 most powerful disciples of Lingtian Sword God. And this Zuoyen is the 7th disciple of Lingtian Sword God." In the Chaos era, the Lingtian 7 sons had made a great name for themselves, and almost everyone in the cultivation world knew about them. You don't need to use any tricks. In front of me, you can only be regarded as a stronger ant at most. I advise you to give up your fantasy and don't make any unnecessary resistance. Seeing that Long Chen's eyes were still sharp, Zuoyen sneered. "Don't say some useless nonsense. If you didn't do it yourself, your Lingtian lineage would definitely be killed by my brother alone. If you dare to say that it wasn't you, I, Long Chun, will immediately cut off my head and give it to you." Long Chun said coldly. "You!" Zuoyen was furious, but he couldn't refute Long Chun, because as Long Chun expected, it was he who attacked from a distance that severely injured Yu Zifeng. At that time, Yu Zifeng had just merged with the Sword God fragment, consuming a lot of soul power and unable to maintain his peak state. The Sword God fragment had been merged by Yu Zifeng, and Zuoyen and others were anxious. Yu Zifeng and the Sword God fragment had merged into one. If they wanted to separate, Yu Zifeng had to take the initiative to do it himself. If they forcefully extract it, the sword god fragment will shatter along with Yu Zifeng's soul, and then they will be empty-handed. Later, they learned that Yu Zifeng was the 4th Legion commander of the Dragon Blood Legion, and immediately looked for the Dragon Blood Legion. When they learned that the Dragon Blood Legion was in a bloody battle, they immediately killed them. Seeing that Long Chen and others cared so much about Yu Zifeng, he suddenly felt much more at ease. As long as they cared about each other, he would have a chance to get the sword god fragment. However, Long Chen's question made him very angry. He said with a gloomy face, "Stop talking nonsense. If he loses, can only be blamed on his poor skills. Tell me, do you want him to die or live?" Zuyen waved his hand, and the unconscious Yu Zifeng flew in front of him. He pinched Yu Zifeng's neck with his hand and looked at Long Chen, with a threatening look on his face. Crack! Zuyen's action was full of humiliation, and Long Chen's body slowly lowered. "Long Chen," Mo Nian exclaimed, "you can't do anything rash at this time. This guy's strength is unfathomable. If you act rashly, Yu Zifeng will die. Those who insult my brothers will die." Long Chen roared, and thunder wings appeared behind him. He was like a stream of light, slashing at Zuyen with a knife. "Long Chen!" Bai Shishir and Tang Wan'er exclaimed at the same time. "Boss!" Gu Yang and others shouted. They couldn't imagine how Long Chen, who was always calm and composed, could suddenly be so reckless. Yu Zifeng was still in the hands of the other party. Wouldn't his actions accelerate Yu Zifeng's death? Feng Xinyue was also stunned when he saw this scene. But when he saw Mo Nian's lowered hand, secretly forming a seal, a flash of enlightenment suddenly flashed in his eyes. Boom! Long Chen's figure was like lightning, and the dragon bone evil moon fell. The unstoppable momentum shocked countless people. However, when he saw Long Chen rushing over, a look of surprise appeared on Zuyen's face. Seeing Long Chen's sword falling, he stretched out one hand and actually went straight to Long Chen's dragon bone evil moon to grab it. Buzz! Just as people were shocked that Zuyen dared to challenge Long Chen's magic weapon with his bare hands, the purple crown of the divine crown appeared behind Zuyen's head. When the purple crown of the divine crown appeared, the world was silent, and all things were still. Long Chen was shocked to find that he was imprisoned for a moment, and the sword that was unstoppable suddenly became powerless. Pa! The dragon bone evil moon slashed on Zuyen's hand, but it couldn't hurt him at all. At that moment, the hearts of the dragon blood warriors instantly sank to the bottom of the valley. Ha ha ha! What a fool! Now even the Emperor Blood Crystal is mine. Grabbing the dragon bone evil moon, Zuyen laughed up to the sky, his laughter full of joy. The strong men present were all shocked. Before, everyone had seen the terrifying pressure of Ho Tianwu's father's green crown of the Divine Way. Ho Tianwu's father's Divine Way crown was the 4th level of the rainbow level of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple, while Zuyen's was the 7th level, the highest level of purple crown. When the crown appeared, not to mention Long Chen in front of Zuyen, even the strong men far away from the battlefield felt their bodies imprisoned and their souls frozen, and they lost their ability to move in an instant. In front of the purple crown divine emperor, all living beings are ants, a strong man said in horror. When Zuyen's divine way crown appeared, they felt their souls locked. It only took Zuyen a thought to make all living beings die. That feeling was too terrifying. Eye of Purgatory. However, just when Zuyen thought he had controlled Long Chen and laughed wildly, a hexagram pattern appeared in Long Chen's pupils. The hexagram was reflected on Zuyen's forearm that was pinching Yu Zifeng. At that moment, Zuyen suddenly felt something was wrong. Puff! However, before he could make any move, the hexagram pattern suddenly distorted the space, and the huge force directly broke his forearm. Buzz! At the moment when his arm was broken, Zuyen's terrifying domain power loosened, and Long Chen immediately broke away from his control, stepped back a few steps, and then a coffin flew over. Pa! The coffin opened and a figure popped out. It was Minglong Tianfeng, who was trapped and almost crazy. Minglong Tianfeng, who was ejected, directly crashed into Zuiyan. Pa! Minglong Tianfeng was released, and the coffin swallowed Yu Zifeng in the air in one gulp, and the coffin lid closed instantly. Minglong Tianfeng was already crazy at this time. After escaping from the trap, he saw a figure, and he didn't care who it was, and instinctively swung his spear and smashed it hard. Puff! At this time, Zuiyan's long sword fell, the space was torn apart, and the dark dragon sky peak was chopped into powder by Zuiyan's sword, and even the divine weapon spear was directly chopped and exploded. Buzz! Just as Zuiyan killed the dark dragon sky peak with a sword, the ancient vine pattern appeared in Long Chen's left hand, and at the same time, the black lightning instantly wrapped Long Chen's palm and slapped Zuiyan's back. Puff! Zuiyan's body protection divine light was pierced by a palm, and a large palm print was printed on his back, and Zuiyan spurted out a mouthful of blood. Seeing this scene, Long Chen couldn't help but be shocked. He used the power of the ancient vine and drained all of Lei Linger's power, but he only barely pierced his body protection divine light. The Purple Crown Divine Emperor was not something he could deal with at the moment. Ha! Just as Zuiyan was injured, Emonian waved his hand, and the coffin flew towards the Dragon Blood Legion like a flash of lightning. Infinite Judgment. Crumbling Moon Shocking Sky Slash. The cooperation between Emonian and Long Chen can be said to be seamless, and even the expressions of acting are impeccable. Cutting wrists and saving people are done in one go, but at this time they are already riding a tiger and can't get off. At the same time, they burst out the strongest attack and take the initiative. Go to hell! Zuiyan was killed by surprise. His left hand disappeared and he could only hold the sword with his right hand. However, he was a left-handed person and was very uncomfortable. However, Long Chen's palm contained a terrifying destructive power that invaded his internal organs. Even if he was the Purple Crown Divine Emperor, he was still extremely uncomfortable and powerless. Go to hell! Seeing the two coming to kill him, Zuiyan roared, swung his sword, and the sharp sword energy cut through the void. Boom! Long Chen and Emonian spurted blood and flew backwards at the same time. Little bastard! I will cut you into pieces! Zuiyan roared. He was one of the 7 sons of Ling Tian and was also a well-known existence in the Chaos era. Now his chips were taken away from him and his arm was broken. What a humiliation! Buzz! Zuiyan slashed out with his sword again, and a purple arc of light was seen, crossing the sky and destroying all the ways. In this attack, he used the power of the Purple Crown. At this time, he lost his mind and even forgot about the Imperial Blood Crystal. Buzz! However, the moment the purple arc of light flew out, a jade hand in the void covered the sky, and just as it was about to cut Long Chen and Emonian, it slapped the sword energy. With a loud bang. The blow containing Zuiyan's violent power was shattered by the jade hand. The purple divine light fell in a riot of colors, scattering all over the world. Countless people were stunned. Zuiyan was shocked and his blood was boiling. He was shocked and angry. He didn't expect that there was a peerless master hidden here. Just as he was looking for the person who made the move, Feng Xinyue's voice came. The dignified Ling Tian's 7 sons actually threatened a small Tiansheng and ended up like this. It's ridiculous. Who are you? Zuiyan was shocked and angry. He looked at Feng Xinyue. At the beginning, the aura displayed by Feng Xinyue was just an ordinary god emperor, without a trace of chaos. Zuiyan regarded her as a contemporary god emperor and didn't take her seriously at all. And just now, Feng Xinyue made a move. The power of chaos in that palm was condensed but not released, gathered but not dispersed. Her control over the power of chaos was much higher than his. If it were normal times, he would have attacked immediately without saying anything, but now his arm was broken and he was hit by Long Chen's palm. He needed to use some of his strength to suppress the black lightning in his body, which greatly reduced his strength. Facing Feng Xinyue, he didn't know whether he should attack for a moment. It doesn't matter who I am. What's important is that you are no longer qualified to challenge me now. Feng Xinyue said lightly. Then let me kill that kid first. Zui Yan's face was distorted. His big hands spread out, and endless runes burned. However, what shocked him was that the coffin behind Immonyen didn't move at all. Isolated by the heavenly Tao? Zui Yan's face suddenly became extremely ugly. Idiot, this is my Immonyen's treasure, pretending that the living can't die. Your little tricks are not good enough. Immonyen said disdainfully. Despicable things, you have disgraced the sword cultivators. What Ling Tian sword god is, from top to bottom, you are just a group of despicable and shameless animals. Long Chen looked at Zui Yan's face and said grimly. Facing Long Chen's scolding, Zui Yan was furious, his eyes almost spitting fire. He pointed at Long Chen and scolded. Little beast, you are lucky today. Just wait. You will not have a good end if you are the enemy of our Ling Tian clan. Still waiting? I can't wait any longer. Long Chen roared. Suddenly, Long Chen closed one eye, and when the other eye opened, a six-pointed star pattern appeared. At the moment when Long Chen's six-pointed star pattern appeared, a figure appeared silently behind Zui Yan. Countless people exclaimed. Zui Yan immediately felt something was wrong and was about to take action. Puff! 6 arms like spider legs pierced Zui Yan's left and right ribs at the same time, and the evil figure of the 6-pointed evil fly appeared in front of everyone. The 6-horned evil fly appeared. Its demonic flames were raging, countless runes were flowing all over its body, and its 6 spider-legged arms pierced into Zui Yan's ribs, directly piercing through Zui Yan's body. The sudden change made countless people change color, including Feng Xinyue. As powerful as she was, she didn't notice how Long Chen sent this 6-horned evil fly behind Zui Yan. Suddenly Feng Xinyue thought of the scene when Long Chen used the Eye of Purgatory to tear off Zui Yan's arm with the power of space. Could it be that time? Feng Xinyue's heart trembled. With Long Chen's strength, it was impossible to hide the 6-horned evil fly from her eyes. The only possibility is that when Long Chen tore off Zui Yan's arm, the space was distorted on a large scale, and Long Chen used the pupil technique to hide it in the void. But it's not right. Later, Long Chen hit Zui Yan with a palm, and then he and Mo Nian worked together to block Zui Yan's attack. In that state, he went all out and tried his best. He had no spare energy to control the power of space. If there is no continuous power to control the space, the 6-cornered evil fly hidden in the space will appear instantly. Suddenly Feng Xinyue looked behind her, and at this moment, the 6-path runes in by Shaola and the little fox's eyes were slowly dissipating. It turned out to be them. Feng Xinyue couldn't help but feel secretly shocked, feeling that when Long Chen angrily attacked and used herself as bait, all the traps had been set instantly. The most terrifying thing is that there is no fluctuation of divine thoughts between Long Chen, Immonyen, Bai Shaola and Xiaojiu. How did they cooperate so well? Die! Long Chen roared, not giving Zui Yan any chance, gnashing his teeth and pinching the seal. With a loud boom, the magic patterns on the 6-cornered evil fly burned, and it exploded with a bang. The violent demonic energy tore the sky, and the void exploded like glass, and a huge hole was blown out. Thinking of the way Zui Yan humiliated Yu Zifeng just now, Long Chen was filled with hatred and directly detonated the 6-cornered evil fly. Chen Qianding had previously told Long Chen that the 6-horned evil fly was a treasure. If it could be brought out of the heavenly vein profound realm and eventually nourished by the laws of the Emperor Heaven, its strength would be more than 10 times stronger. But at this moment, Long Chen felt that if he didn't kill Zui Yan, he would go crazy, and he didn't care about so much, and directly blew up the 6-horned evil fly. Boom, boom. A huge black hole vortex was blown out above the void, and the violent power devoured the power between heaven and earth. However, to Long Chen's disappointment, a bloody big hand stretched out from the black hole and grabbed the sky wall. In the end, Zuyen, covered in blood, crawled out of the black hole. "You're not dead yet?" Gu Yong and others gritted their teeth. "This guy is too strong." Mo Nian was moved when he saw this scene. He looked at Long Chun, but Long Chun shook his head. The purple-crowned God Emperor was so powerful that it was despairing. His purple crown was like a powerful amulet. Before they condensed the human crown, it was almost impossible to kill him. Although Zuyen looked miserable and his aura was a little chaotic, Long Chun saw that the color of his divine crown did not fade, so he knew that his original power was still strong. Even if the two of them joined forces again, they could not kill him. If they were not careful, they would die in his hands. "This is the price you pay for humiliating me and my brother. Your head will be temporarily stored with you. When my brother recovers, he will personally cut off your head." Long Chun said grimly. Although he couldn't be killed, it was still a way to get some interest back. Yu Zifeng was severely injured by Zuyen. When the time comes, let Yu Zifeng take revenge himself. Perhaps this is the best ending. Ha ha ha. I can't believe it. I really can't believe that I, Zuyen, would be so embarrassed by a little devil like you. If I don't kill you today, how can I, Zuyen, survive in the 9 heavens and 10 earths? Zuyen laughed up to the sky, with a touch of madness in his laughter. He was completely angry. In his rage, he had lost his mind. He was going to kill Long Chun today no matter what. Boom! Zuyen suddenly crushed a fist-sized piece of purple jade. The moment the purple jade shattered, the vast power of faith wrapped him. The wounds on Zuyen's body healed instantly, and his aura returned to its peak state. Zuyen looked at Long Chun and the others. His mouth cracked open, revealing a ferocious smile. "Today you must die." Feng Xingyue shook her head and said, "Even if you use the Faith Jade Crystal to temporarily suppress your injuries and restore your breath, you only have 1 stick of incense at most. You sacrificed such a precious thing. Do you think you can kill Long Chun in front of me? Maybe I am not your opponent, but I am afraid you can't protect the person I want to kill." Zuyen's eyes swept over everyone, with a ferocious smile on his face. He was completely angry, and only blood and death could extinguish his anger. He knew that Feng Xingyue was not easy to mess with, but it was impossible for Feng Xingyue to protect everyone under his attack. "It doesn't matter, Senior, you can kill all their disciples later. Anyway, there are not many left after being killed by Zifeng," Long Chen said lightly. Long Chen's words made the sword cultivators of Lingtian's lineage change their faces and retreat involuntarily. Zuyen also became cautious all of a sudden. Just as Long Chen said, there were not many top-level geniuses in the Lingtian sword sect in this generation. If they were all killed, the Lingtian lineage would be extinct. Buzz! At this moment, the void in the distance trembled. At some point, Brahmada actually arranged a teleportation array. A figure walked out of the teleportation array. Before the person appeared, the voice came first. "I really want to see who can save Long Chun today." A bald old man walked out. When people felt his breath, they couldn't help but be shocked. It was another Purple Crown Emperor. A terrifying strong man came to Brahma Pill Valley. We, the 9 Springs Hell Clan, don't want to wade into this muddy water. As long as the little guy named Long Chun obediently hands over the Emperor Blood Crystal, everything will be fine. Next to Li Chongging, a 3-eyed monster with a haggard face and holding a magic wand walked out. Li Chongging actually used the formation to summon the terrifying figures in the clan. Another purple-crowned emperor descended, and together with Zuyen, 3 terrifying powers, divided into 3 directions, blocked all of Feng Xingyue's escape routes. Seeing the 3 terrifying masters descend, Feng Xingyue smiled. Just as she was about to speak, a powerful and vigorous voice suddenly came. "The world has changed, and people's hearts have changed. It seems a bit unreasonable for so many old seniors to bully a child." When Long Chun heard that voice, his heart was pounding with excitement. He could hardly believe his ears and hurriedly looked at the source of the voice. Boom! 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 The world trembled, footsteps approached, and a huge monster bathed in the blood-colored tide slowly came. The huge figure had not yet appeared, and the vast demonic energy radiated. Even the purple-crowned emperor-level strongman changed color. The rolling demonic energy contained the laws of chaos and the monstrous killing intent. As it got closer, a figure as tall as 100 feet walked out of the blood-colored tide. It was a creature that looked like a unicorn, but it was covered in blood. The horns on its head looked similar to dragon horns, but they flashed with sharp cold light. There were actually 3 pupils in its huge eyes, flashing with evil and fierce light. It had a pair of bat-like wings behind it, and countless runes like eyes on the wings. When it appeared, its fierce aura shocked the whole audience. This was a species from the Chaos Age, which the strong men present had never seen before, but from its terrifying demonic energy, they could sense its horror. "That's Ling Long Blood Demon," a strong man in the distance exclaimed. People looked in the direction of the sound and saw the Long family, one of the 4 great divine clans. The one who exclaimed was an old divine emperor of the Long family. It turned out that the strong man of the Long family had also arrived. Although the old man was also a powerful man, he was not good enough in front of the purple-crowned divine emperor. He was even far inferior to Ho Tianwu's father who was killed. He could only watch from a distance. Now seeing the creature with demonic energy rising to the sky, he immediately recognized that this was the evil demon that had been sealed by the Long family for countless years, but could not be killed. When hearing about Ling Long Blood Demon, Long Tianrui in the Long family camp, his heart suddenly beat wildly and looked at the top of Ling Long Blood Demon's head. On the head of Ling Long Blood Demon, there was a middle-aged man in a blue long robe. Even though he was middle-aged, his face was still handsome and extraordinary, with sword eyebrows flying sideways and eyes as deep as the sea. His face was 70% similar to Long Chen. Unlike Long Chen's high-spirited handsomeness, he was 70% mature and 30% restrained. Emonian looked at the man, then at Long Chen, his eyes wide open like lanterns. "Dad!" Long Chen was very excited. The last time they parted, Long Chen had gone through countless hardships. Now that he saw Long Zhantian again, it seemed as if thousands of years had passed. Long Zhantian nodded to Long Chen, then jumped down from the top of the exquisite blood demon, bowed to Feng Xinue and said, "Thank you for taking care of me." Feng Xinue smiled slightly and said, "No need to call me senior. I'm afraid it won't be long before we'll be equals." Tang Wanner, who was next to Feng Xinue, was pounding with excitement at this moment. This was her future father-in-law, and she was extremely nervous for a moment. Long Zhantian also smiled slightly and came to Long Chen. He looked at Long Chen's pale cheeks due to the huge consumption, and the bloodstains flowing from the corners of his eyes due to the use of the Eye of Purgatory. He couldn't help but feel distressed, and at the same time his eyes were full of pride. This is the only way for a person to grow up. If you want to reach that height, see the unique scenery, and not be trampled underfoot by others, everything in front of you must be experienced. You are worthy of being my son, Long Zhantian. Daddy is proud of you. Long Zhantian pressed Long Chen's shoulders, his face full of pride. Long Chen was also very excited. His nose was sore, but he tried hard to hold back the tears that were about to flow. Even in front of his father, he didn't want him to see his vulnerable side. "Dad!" Emonian, who was next to Long Chen, suddenly shouted excitedly. Long Zhantian was stunned, and Emonian hurriedly said, "You don't remember me? I am Long Chen's half-brother." Emonian's words directly confused Long Zhantian. When he was still analyzing the relationship between half-brothers, Long Chen laughed and said, "Dad, this is my good brother Emonian. Just like a real brother, he has no advantages except that he has a good vision and recognizes me as a brother." Long Zhantian laughed and said, Okay. I, Long Zhantian, have been separated from my son for so many years and have experienced endless hardships. Now that father and son are reunited, there are so many more sons. Ha ha ha. Good, great. Long Zhantian looked at the dragon blood warriors, feeling their heroic spirit of sharing life and death with Long Chun. His heart was full of pride and emotion, but there was also a trace of sadness in the depths of his eyes. "Dad." Long Chun looked at his father and immediately understood. He remembered the brothers who fought with him in the Tianwu continent. Unfortunately, they were all dead. Long Chun knew that this was an irreparable pain in Long Zhantian's heart. "Who do you think you are? Even if you have a pure-blooded evil demon, no one can save the person I, Zuiyan, want to kill." At this moment, Zuiyan's cold voice came. First, he was shocked by the violent aura of the exquisite blood demon. But seeing that Long Zhantian's aura was ordinary, although he had the power of the emperor, he was pitifully weak, and he immediately ignored him. A mere evil demon was not taken seriously by him. Facing Zuiyan's provocation, Long Zhantian didn't even look at him. He looked at Long Chun and continued, "We are father and son, but the use of Tao and art is not quite the same. You pay too much attention to violence, and are used to breaking hardness with hardness, ignoring the use of skills. Otherwise, you would not have only 30% of your strength left now, but at least 80% of your strength." 80%? Long Chun was shocked. "Don't believe it? Dad will show you a demonstration. As a divine emperor, if you use the crown of the divine emperor, it will be too bullying to him. Watch." Long Zhantian smiled slightly. "Ha!" Suddenly Long Zhantian flashed, without any fluctuation of the power of the imperial way. Long Zhantian had already appeared in front of Zuiyan. Zuiyan was shocked, and he didn't expect Long Zhantian to suddenly attack. "Shoo!" Zuiyan stepped back, pulled away, and slashed with a sword. On the sharp long sword, the edge whistled, and the air was full of air. It must be said that Zuiyan was amazing in the talent of swordsmanship to become one of the 7 sons of Ling Tian. Even if he was killed by surprise, his sword moves were still sharp and fierce. However, facing Zuiyan's sharp attack, Long Zhantian did not dodge or evade, but actually grabbed it with his bare hands. When seeing this scene, Long Chun, Nian and others exclaimed, "How sharp is Zuiyan's sword power! Not to mention the flesh and blood body, even the divine weapon will be cut off by his sword." And Long Zhantian did not condense the crown of the imperial way, nor did he summon the power of the heavenly way, and even the power of blood did not burst out. With his flesh and blood body, he took such a terrifying sword, and Long Chun was scared. Dang 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 dang. Suddenly, there were 5 dense and light sounds. Zuiyan's long sword suddenly vibrated rapidly, and endless overlapping sword shadows appeared. People's eyes were blurred, and they were shocked to find that the long sword was actually in Long Zhantian's hand. The sharp tip of the sword was already pointing at Zuiyan's throat. That moment, the whole audience was dead silent. Countless people opened their mouths wide and looked at this scene in disbelief.